E1b1a. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
It's the LINEAGE. We are who are children is Ruach, lead our way. It's the LINEAGE. We are who are children is Ruach, lead our way. You a lamp to my feet at camp with my peeps. Clamp on the MIC when I speak. Shalom, I'm at home with my mishpachah. Ain't alone in its own, this a diss to gods of the other nations and organizations. We the chosen of Yah. You know who you facing? We tasting salvation. That's good. Spreading this information through the hood. It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah's children, the Ruach lead our way.
Yeah.
Talk to me,
Me and the ox locked in like a hare. I've been staying dedicated with my family all here. I'm walking in with this armor, no fear. Keep the squad on my back, and my soldiers all here. We gon' march up in that kingdom, we gon' take some. I see a lot of fake Jews doing fake stuff. A real Jew, I can say that with my face up.
But how you gon' sell your soul for a pay stub?
They know they can't face them. Yahuwah out of patience. Get glory to the king. From my family out the matrix. Gotta send a prayer up into the east I'm facing. Death to the gods of these other pagan nations.
Said the feeling is here. Can you feel it out here in the air? He's bold as a lion appears. He's making the vision so clear. We are Yahudim. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah's children, the Ruach lead our way. Talk to me,
Dressed in the Ruach, what about you? Favored and blessed by Yahuwah. You not, don't get upset, don't let go of envy. Got you in a frenzy, your style so flimsy. Bar from the Shamaim, can't brush it. Far from my Elohim, can't touch this, no competition. Been sent to accomplish a mission. Straight fiction.
Selling your soul is a no-go. Popping pills, drinking Hennies for our show. People lost in the club, but they broke though. Put your hands in the air, pray for their souls. You heard? But a true light. When he walked in my life, I felt so bright. I might be hard at first, but it's alright. Y'all won't open your eyes when you get white.
It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah's children, the Ruach lead our way. It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah's children, the Ruach lead our way. Talk to me,
Said the feeling is here. Can you feel it out here in the air? He's bold as a lion appears. He's making the vision so clear. We are Yahudim. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah children is Ruach lead our way. It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah children is Ruach lead our way. You a lamp to my feet at camp with my peeps. Clamp on the MIC when I speak. Shalom, I'm at home with my mishpachah. Ain't alone in its own, this a diss to gods of the other nations and organizations. We the chosen of Yah. You know who you facing? We tasting salvation. That's good. Spreading this information through the hood. It's the MISHPACH. We are Huah's children, the Ruach lead our way.
Yeah.
Talk to me,
Me and the ox locked in like a hare. I've been staying dedicated with my family all here. I'm walking in with this armor, no fear. Keep the squad on my back, and my soldiers all here. We gon' march up in that kingdom, we gon' take some. I see a lot of fake Jews doing fake stuff. A real Jew, I can say that with my face up.
But how you gonna sell your soul for a pay stub?
They know they can't face some Yahuwah out of patience. Get glory to the king from my family out the matrix. Gotta send a prayer up into the east I'm facing. Death to the gods of these other pagan nations.
Said the feeling is here. Can you feel it out here in the air? He's bold as a lion appears. He's making the vision so clear. We are Yahudim. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
It's the MISHPACH. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach lead our way. Talk to me.
Dressed in the Ruach, what about you? Favored and blessed by Yahuwah. You not, don't get upset, don't let go of envy. Got you in a frenzy, your style so flimsy. Bar from the Shamaim, can't brush it. Far from my Elohim, can't touch this, no competition. Been sent to accomplish a mission. Straight
Selling your
fiction.
soul is a no-go. Popping pills, drinking Hennies for our show. People lost in the club, but they broke though. Put your hands in the air, pray for their souls. You heard? I but a true light. When he walked in my life, I felt so bright. I might be hard at first, but it's alright. Y'all won't open your eyes when you get white.
It's the MISHPACH. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach lead our way. It's the MISHPACH. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach lead our way. Talk to me.
Said the feeling is here. Can you feel it out here in
Unseen to the naked eye, the secrets of our past lie within us, in our DNA, specifically, in the Y chromosomal haplogroup E1b1a. Imagine, if you will, a hidden trail of breadcrumbs leading back through time, marking our journey as a species. This trail is embedded within us, in our genetic material, and it's called a Y chromosomal haplogroup. In the vast world of genetics, Y chromosomal haplogroups are like ancient manuscripts. They contain the stories of our ancestors, the places they lived, the people they encountered, and the legacies they left behind. And one of these intriguing tales is that of E1b1a, a haplogroup that holds the key to understanding a significant chapter of human history. Now you might be wondering, what exactly is a haplogroup? Well, in simple terms, it's a genetic population group of people who share a common ancestor on the patrilineal or matrilineal line. In other words, it's like a family tree that traces back thousands, even tens of thousands of years. Specifically, the E1b1a haplogroup is a major lineage marker within the larger E haplogroup, which is believed to have originated in East Africa some 65,000 to 73,000 years ago. Today, E1b1a is most commonly found in sub-Saharan Africans and among the African diaspora, making it a vital piece of the puzzle in understanding the history and migration patterns of these populations. But why is this important? Well, understanding our genetic makeup not only helps us unravel the mysteries of our past, it also gives us a sense of our place in the grand tapestry of human history. It reminds us that we are all connected, bound together by threads of DNA that reach back to our earliest ancestors. So as we delve deeper into the world of E1b1a, remember that we're not just exploring a genetic sequence, we're journeying into the past, tracing the footsteps of our ancestors and uncovering the fascinating stories that they've left behind in our DNA. In the world of genetics, the E1b1a haplogroup is much like an ancient manuscript waiting to be deciphered. Imagine the Earth thousands of years ago. The cradle of E1b1a was taking shape. The E1b1a haplogroup, an important branch on the tree of humanity, was being born. But where did this significant lineage originate, and how can we trace its roots? let's delve into the fascinating world of genetic history. The E1b1a haplogroup, part of the larger E1b1 group, is believed to have originated in East Africa around 41,000 years ago. This estimation is based on the study of genetic mutations, the footprints left behind by our ancestors. When a mutation occurs in the Y chromosome, it gets passed down to subsequent generations. By studying these mutations, geneticists can estimate the age of a haplogroup, essentially tracing the lineage back to its Adam, or most recent common male ancestor. For E1b1a, this Adam lived in sub-Saharan Africa, a region known as the birthplace of humanity. But how do we know this? Well, it's all about the mutations. Each mutation or marker gives us a glimpse into our past. The E1b1a haplogroup is defined by a specific set of these markers. When we find these markers in a person's DNA, we can say with confidence that they belong to this haplogroup. It's important to note that while we can make educated guesses about the origin of sublineages, such as haplogroup E1b1a1, the exact location remains a topic of debate among geneticists. Some propose a West African origin, while others suggest a more Central African birthplace, approximately 39,000 years ago. Regardless of the exact birthplace of this widespread sublineage, the E1b1a1 haplogroup holds an undeniable significance in human history. The E1b1a haplogroup at large is the most common Y chromosome haplogroup among men of sub-Saharan African descent, making it a vital piece of the puzzle in understanding our collective past. So there you have it. The E1b1a haplogroup, a lineage traced back to the heart of Africa, thousands of years ago. A lineage that tells a story of survival, migration, and evolution. From the heart of Africa, E1b1a began its journey destined to leave a significant mark on human history. As the world evolved, so did E1b1a, scattering across the landscape and shaping populations. The journey of haplogroup E1b1a is a saga that stretches across millennia and continents. Born in Africa, this genetic marker began its voyage, moving with the ebb and flow of human history. As people migrated,
Yeah, he's bold as a lion appears. He's making the vision so clear. We are Yahudim. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
All right, shalom, shalom, mishpakat. Welcome to Awake the Nations with Malek Moshe. All praises be to the Most High for you and yours, and for those who decided to join us tonight. That's right, Awake the Nations with Malek Moshe, aka Dr. Howard. We are trying to develop some traction. We tried to develop some continuity. That's right, we are on the air for the second consecutive week. And so it looks like that we are developing some momentum. Listen, true love never try to see through you. It always try to see you through. And so ahaba atah to all of those who are watching. Thank you for entrusting us with your spiritual journey. We do not take that lightly. Tonight, you are in for a treat. Last week, Maury James was our guest, our special guest last week, and I think we did a thorough job in discussing the stranger and the different types of strangers. We have had several individuals to reach out to us to say, you know what, my theology have changed. They admitted that they have been indoctrinated by a One West or a camp doctrine, what we call camp doctrine. And so this is why we speak truth amid universal deceit. This is exactly why we come against centuries of regurgitated dogma. And so let the scriptures be true and every man a lie. And so that is one of the objectives of Awake the Nations, is that we'll dispel historical lies. You know, the text says that we are ever learning but never coming into the knowledge of the truth. And we want to make sure that we expose these lies and dispel this regurgitated dogmas by allowing the scriptures to speak for itself. It's called interpretive methodology. When you allow the scriptures to speak for itself. But all praises be to the Most High. I see that more people are coming into the room, and let's get started with this topic tonight. Again, welcome to Awake the Nations with Malek Moshe, where we're going to embark upon a transformative journey tonight. And we're going to seek to restore our ancestral heritage, particularly those who claim to be the people of the book. Is there some veracity to many Shemitic Negroes, the Niger Congo Bantu people, over the last 20 years or so, more than ever before, they have been exclaiming that they are the people of the book? Well, it's one thing to have a desire to be the people of the book. In fact, in Christianity, we thought we all were the people of the book, that we were somehow engrafted in, that there is no longer a Jew, but there is, we all are spiritual Jews. And you all know that doctrine of supersessionism, um, where we have went in and we become revisionists of the scriptures. And we thought that we replace the original people of the scriptures. But that violates Yirmiyahu chapter 31. That violates the scriptures where the Most High said that Israel would be my people forever. It violates when the Shaul writes in Romans chapter 9 and says that the oracles, the laws, the promises, they all have been given to Israel. And so we were certainly purveyors of that sloppy theology or that doctrine. And so, is there something to millions of not only Afro Americans, but those who are in Brazil who's waking up and saying, we are the people of the book? Those in Madagascar, those who are in the islands of the sea, in the Caribbeans, in St. Lucia, in the Bahamas, in the Virgin Islands. And what about the Negroid people who are in Mexico? What about those individuals who are on the continent who are saying that we are the people of the book? Is there something to that? Is there veracity to that? Or is that what we call derisive theology? Is it racial superiority? Are dozens of people of color who share the same DNA marker, are they hijacking someone else's identity? Well, tonight we are excited to present a groundbreaking broadcast. We have talked about prognosticism, your crano. We have talked about linguistics. We have talked about a number of emphatic, empirical, evidentiary claims to support that there is a people of the book who hail from the progenitors of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We have looked at migration routes before. We have looked at uh, mutations. We have looked at SNPs, STRs. Tonight, we're going to look at phylogenies. We're going to look at that in terms of the lineage. And so tonight, we are going to look at E1b1a, or what they call V38, the Genetic Lineage Restoration Project, and it's subtitled Hebrew Ancient Migrations from the Nile Valley to Contemporary America. And so, this profound episode tonight, we're going to explore a powerful intersection of science and scripture. And there is a intersection between the two. When you begin to look at science and look at what we call paleontology, ontological. And when you look at in terms of fossils and you look at the fossils of animals and the fossils of plants, what we call flora, and look at fauna and zoology and look at forensic science, science has a lot to play with. And in fact, the Most High is scientific. He's omniscient. Scient is where we get the word science. He's omniscient. So we're going to take scriptures and we're going to draw a correlation with science and our ancestral history. We call that triangulation, using history, genetics, and as well as geography, all to bring a conclusive point. And so we should be able to use triangulation to find out who are the people of the book. So we're going to dive into E1b1a V38 haplogroup, this genetic marker that connects various populations in Africa to the ancient Hebrew lineages. We're going to begin to look at Bantu people. We're going to look at the Okamba people and look at Meru people. And we're going to look at Kisi people and Luau people and those who speak Chua, the Zulu people, the Hosa people, those individuals who are in Angola and Zimbabwe and Botswana, Bantu people who are situated in Cameroon and in Nigeria and the Togolese in Togo and Benin in Ghana and Burkina Faso. That's right. E1b1a marker is in Burkina Faso and Liberia and Sierra Leone and we're going to look at places like Gambia, etc., all throughout the continent and see if there is a connection between these people and the progenitors of the scriptures, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So tonight we are thankful that each of you get a chance to join us as we unravel some mysteries of the lost identities of the scattered tribes. Guided by the insights from the Torah, we're going to look at also some prophetic writings tonight. And so we're going to try to be innovative in our initiative to empower you through systematic ancestry reconstruction. That's right. We're going to begin to look at DNA and its reconstruction and look at mtDNA and look at the Y chromosome. And we're going to bridge the genetic research with biblical truths to answer some essential questions surrounding heritage and covenantal identity. So tonight I am accompanied by a very, very special guest. And let me show you this one quick video before we bring on our very special guest tonight. So bear with us. We're going to show this small video so that you can have at least a basic working knowledge about haplogroups. Most of haplogroups, when we mention haplogroups or the patrilineal chromosomes, many of you scratch your heads like, what is that? Triangulation, phylogenies, etc. You're like, what in the world is that? So it is our endeavor to break things down in its simple forms so that you can understand it. I know for some of you, it sounds like Charlie Brown, right? Womp. But it is our goal to make sure that you have a comprehensive, basic understanding so that if you fall within the E1b1a marker, if your Y chromosome falls within that, that you or LP2 or some of the other designations, V38, etc., that you have a working knowledge as to who are the people of the book. Are these people still around? What was their migration routes? Dr. Howard, I have no idea what short tandem repeats are. I don't know what they are. But being able to share that with you so that you can fully understand and that you can have a comprehensive knowledge base about what is STRs? What do they have to do with it? I just want to know whether or not I'm an Israelite or not. And so tonight, it is our endeavor to share that. So let me share just a small from 23andMe, and we're not advocating necessarily 23andMe, but to give you a working knowledge about what haplogroups are. Please enjoy.
What's up, everyone? I'm Helena Alamu, and welcome to another episode of the DNA Download, where we explain the science of genetics so you can live in the know. When people talk about their DNA results, I keep hearing the word haplogroups. Joining me today is Dr. Samantha Esselman, a scientist from the 23andMe Ancestry team who can unpack this concept. So, Samantha, what are haplogroups? Truly, it sounds like a word my dad would make up in Scrabble.
Well, it's definitely a real word. A haplogroup is a grouping or an assignment of similar sets of patterns in people's DNA. So it's kind of like if we were to group people based on something like their zip codes.
Oh.
And then we can use these patterns of DNA to trace the ancient origins of your ancestry.
Okay, so then how do you make these groupings from DNA?
So people have two special pieces of DNA which we use to define two different kinds of haplogroups. The first kind is paternal haplogroups traced through Y chromosomes, which get passed exclusively from fathers to sons. And the second kind is maternal haplogroups traced through mitochondrial DNA, which gets passed from mothers to both sons and daughters.
Okay, then what makes these two pieces of DNA special?
So that's a great question. It's because the inheritance pattern is really simple, especially compared to the rest of your genome. And actually the beginning of the word haplogroup, haplo, comes from the Greek word aplos, which means simple.
Oh, well, that's a good memory jogger.
Yeah. And so most of our DNA comes from a sort of random shuffling of our parents' DNA, which can make it difficult to figure out which side of the family each piece comes from.
Oh.
But then Y chromosomes and mitochondrial DNA don't get shuffled.
But then if they aren't shuffled, why aren't everyone's haplogroups exactly the same?
That's a great question. So over the more than 200,000 or so years of human evolution, the occasional DNA changes occurred and got passed on, creating new haplogroups.
Okay.
I have an analogy.
Okay.
So imagine a guy thousands of years ago, and this guy has a special recipe for his, award-winning paleo soup.
Oh, okay.
And then he, along with his brothers, inherited this recipe from his dad, who got it from his dad, and all the men in the family faithfully stick to this recipe, no changes.
Oh, well, I could go for some paleo soup right about now, but please, go on.
Yeah, this analogy always makes me hungry.
Okay, good.
And so then many generations later, a great-great-great-grandson adds some cilantro.
Oh.
And then this great-great-grandson passes on a slightly modified version of this recipe to his sons. And all the men on his branch of the family tree start following this new cilantro recipe.
Oh.
And so now if you think about it, there are essentially two soup haplogroups. And this is pretty much how haplogroup inheritance works.
That makes a lot of sense. And since I'm a woman and I don't have a Y chromosome, how can I trace my paternal haplogroup?
Yeah, so what you can do is you can learn from relatives who share your paternal line. And so this would be something like a dad or a brother.
Okay, cool. So then what about the mother's side, the maternal haplogroups?
Right, you can trace this other kind of haplogroup through the DNA found in our cells' mitochondria, which turn the food we eat into usable energy for our cells.
Ah, the powerhouse of the cell.
You know your biology memes. Yeah, so this mitochondrial DNA gets passed from moms to both sons and daughters.
Well, thanks, Mom. So how can we use haplogroups to trace our ancestry?
So closely related haplogroups tend to share geographic roots, and so scientists can use the kind of modern distributions of haplogroups around the world to trace some of these major migrations. And then these can help you understand where you fit into this ancient family tree of all humans.
Wow, I feel like the world just got a whole lot smaller. Thanks for being here, Samantha, and see you next time on the DNA Download.
All right, Ms. Bacot, I just wanted to give you a basic understanding of how haplogroups work. Again, we're not necessarily advocating for any particular group, but this is to help further along our discussion on haplogroups. So in the PhD program, we teach something called the idea of being relevant pedagogy, culturally relevant pedagogy. Culturally relevant pedagogy. And so that's bringing every student along, whether you are a child in pedagogical learning or andragogical learning. And when you use andragogical learning, we want to make sure that it is relevant, culturally relevant andragogy, or in this case, in some cases, pedagogy. So I'm accompanied tonight by Dr. Lawanda Knox, or she is a PhD candidate, that is, of the Hebrew Academy International. Wait a minute. Hebrew Academy International. That sounds familiar. That's right. That is the official academy of Great Awakening International Hebrew Academy International, led by our Dean Mora Deborah Cotton. And so, Luana and I tonight, together, we're going to have this dialogue and we're going to engage into an enlightening discussion field, hopefully with historical analysis. We're going to look at some spiritual insights. We're going to look at migration routes and some key findings that I think is going to illuminate the path that reconnect us with our ancient roots. Remember, Marcus Garvey said, anyone disconnected from their history, from their identity and their culture is like a tree without roots. So whether you are a researcher tonight, whether you are just a seeker tonight, whether you are a part of the great Hebrew awakening, this conversation promises to provide, I think, the tools and understanding that we all need to embrace so that we can embrace our true heritage and walk confidently in our identity that the Most High have given us. So without further ado, Mishpachah, please help me welcome Dr. Lawanda Knox. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Shalom, Dr. Howard. Thank you. Thank you for the awesome intro.
Hallelujah. Well, Dr. Knox, share a little bit about you and then before you share anything about your research, and your research is remarkable. It's groundbreaking. It literally shatters some of the myths out there, kind of demystify there, and then it gives hope and it adds credence to what many of us been saying for a number of years. But you have taken a scholarly route and a scientific route. So before you go there, share a little bit about you and um, perhaps your awakening and about your family. Please give our audience just some intel about who you are.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor. Yes, like you said, I am a PhD candidate at Hebrew Academy International, and I am the mother of two sons and a wife, an entrepreneur, homeschool mom, so very busy. And I've completed 2 years of the PhD program at HAI, and I've completed my research. And right now, I'm fine tuning my dissertation so I can get ready to defend pretty soon. So this is actually my second time presenting my project, which I didn't choose my project chose me. Um, so because I wanted to know more about my history and my ancient path, and so it just guided me along this way. And I'm really fortunate to have come across Hebrew Academy International because it really taught me how to become a researcher. And the team there, all the leadership from Dr. Abigail, Dr. Grant, Dean Cotton, all the instructors, they really have poured into me and the rest of the students. So without them, I would not have been able to feel confident presenting to you all. So I'm really thankful for having an opportunity to pour my heart into something that, like I said, chose me, but fits me really well. Uh-oh. Can't hear you. Nope. Can anybody else hear him? Let's see. Nope, I can't. I can see you, but I can't hear you. Okay, I see somebody in the audience says they use 23andMe DNA. I'm just looking at the chat because I see you, Rejoice. No, they said no, they can't hear you. but nope, can't hear you. Nope, a lot of no's in the chat. Shalom. Nope. I can read lips though. But if you want, if we start the slides, I can get started, but it's up to you. Okay, another 20. Oh, okay, you did both 23andMe and African ancestry. I see. I could see how that pair would, taking those two commercial tests could give you a much more comprehensive understanding. I myself, I took, while we're waiting, I took African ancestry and ancestry. Okay, there we are. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and then hopefully when Dr. Howard's volume comes back in, he'll chime in. All right, so, okay, so thank you all for being here. So tonight we're going to explore something that's been on my heart, how we can use genetic evidence to validate what our community knows about our ancient heritage. This isn't about proving anything to outsiders. This is about having the tools to document the truth for ourselves. Alrighty. Okay, so let me start with my personal journey, because many of you may have walked similar paths. I can see in the chat that many of you have see another one has taken African ancestry. So before COVID, I was like deep in corporate America, just going through the motions. But during the pandemic, the Most High began to wake me up spiritually. Around that same time, my father got his DNA results back, and everything changed. His test showed that he was from the Mbundu tribe of Angola. And there were some STR markers that I knew nothing about. So I just entered those markers into a haplogroup predictor that I found online, and discovered that his primary haplogroup was E1b1a, V38, subclat L485. And so E1b1a is a lineage that I had heard connects us to the ancient Hebrew Israelites, but I didn't understand how. So then, fast forward, my husband took the matric clan test and qualified our family for Sierra Leone citizenship. So my whole family, we went to Sierra Leone, got dual citizenship, passports, the whole nine. And that's when I knew this wasn't just about ancestry, this was about restoration. So I have a question in the chat for everybody. Has anyone here done, okay, some of you already said you've done DNA testing. And what did you discover? Put it in the chat for me, please. All right, so while I think there's a delay on the chat when I see the feed on my end. So I'll keep looking for responses as I go along. All right, so many of you may have taken DNA tests from Ancestry. I saw that one, 23andMe, and African Ancestry. I would say those three are like the most popular commercial DNA tests available. So I chose African Ancestry test takers for my study because it has the largest African database. So, okay, nice. I did my heritage and ancestry, and then I'll take the African one. Yep. So with African ancestry, and I'm not promoting African ancestry, but the results gave would give you something like, oh, you're from the Yoruba tribe. You're 100% from the Yoruba tribe in Nigeria, as an example. And then you feel really good because you're like, oh, unlike 23andMe that just gives me this, list of all of these different combinations, this is more specific. So now you know you're connected to Nigeria. But then what? So I had more questions, like where did the Yoruba come from before they were in Nigeria? Or how did our ancestors even get there? What's the story that spans thousands of years, not just the last few hundred? Okay, I see Yoruba, Fulani, Nigeria. Yep. So the commercial test gives you a snapshot, but they don't give us the full movie picture. So tonight, I want to show you how we can start writing that story or telling that story using the same genetic tools that validate what our community knows about our Hebrew heritage. So, who here has gotten DNA test results but felt like something was missing, like they didn't have the full picture? Put it in the chat. Large percentage from Nigeria. Okay, you've been skeptical, but now you're leaning towards African ancestry. I get that. Yeah, and the nice thing about African ancestry is they don't keep your, they say that they don't keep your results. They don't keep your DNA. So they discard it, is what they say. So that if you're reluctant, then that might be the way to go. Nice. Okay. So now let me just be real clear. I am not a geneticist or a scientist. Like I am a researcher, a PhD candidate, a student. So I'm still learning myself. So I just wanted to make it really clear off the gate. But I have read what the scientists have published in peer-reviewed articles. And so this is my interpretation of what they found. And you will hear me reference the studies by the author's last name during the presentation, like what Seminole said, or Patton said, or Trombetta said. So I will do my best to demystify some of these terms you see in genetic population studies. So when we talk about genetic, okay, I can hear you now.
You can hear me now.
Yes, yay.
Hallelujah. The Most
Hallelujah.
High answer prayers. Hallelujah.
Okay, I see you, Gabon, DNA found in the tribe of Gabon, Cameroon. All right, don't be scared. Don't be scared, Yasharel. Okay, so where was I? So I'm going to demystify some of these terms you see in genetic population studies. So when we talk about genetics in this context, we're focusing on the Y chromosome. Why? Because the inheritance of the Hebrew patriarchal lineage passed directly from father to son, like almost unchanged for thousands of years. So it's like a direct, unbroken line back to ancient times. So your haplogroup is like your family name, for example. It just tells you which major branch of the human family tree you belong to. So for us, the focus is on E1b1a, which is also called EV38, which is a significant branch with deep roots in Africa. Then you also have a subclad, which is a more specific family branch within that haplogroup. So think of it as refining your family name from Johnson to Johnson from Georgia. It points to a more recent common ancestor within the larger group, is what that does. And then, so when your Patrick-Clan results come back, they're using these STR markers to connect you to a specific African tribe, but it's really showing you the very end of a long journey. The key is understanding that your Y DNA, your father's line, provides a very narrow but deep view into your ancestry. It doesn't tell the whole story of your entire genetic makeup, but it tells a powerful one from the Patrick-Clan or patrilineal heritage. Okay, so did anyone know that Y DNA only traces to the father's line going back thousands of years? Did you know that already? You probably did.
And that would match the lineage, the genealogy in the scriptures.
Yes.
As Abraham begot Isaac, and Isaac begot Jacob. And so from father to son, the Y haplogroup, or the Y chromosome rather, it passes from father to son. That's interesting because in Africa, obviously among the Akan tribe, we of course we have the Ga, we have Fanti, we have Ashanti, we have Bono. And one of the things, Dr. Knox, that was interesting is that the Ashanti people follow the matrilineal instead of the patrilineal
Right.
bloodline. And I thought that was interesting. I began to inquire why, because they are truly Hebrews. They have
Right.
a being which is the shofar. Many of them wear fringes, etc. And one of the as we begin to inquire, when they begin to mix with other people groups, they took on that instead of a patrilineal, they took on a matrilineal.
Okay.
Until they took it on by history. So this is why I think it's crucially important that DNA comes into place, genetics, but also geography and history. That whole triangulation comes into play as well. And
Right.
so we have to look beyond the surface level, and we have to excavate. We have to use a number of interrogatories, which I appreciate about your research, because it dig a little deeper as to people ask, well, why do the Luo, Luo, who are truly Nilo people and they are not Bantu people in Kenya, why do some of them have E1b1a? Why do some of the Fulanis have
Okay.
E1b1a? Well, it's a history because Fulanis used to capture Igbo and other people, and then they were raised them among them. So they naturally took on the culture of Fulanis, but yet they still have E1b1a.
Mm.
Yeah. So I just wanted to mention that. Sorry to interrupt you, but I thought
No.
I would say uh, that was very interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you did adding the texture and everything because I'm so hyper focused on the genetic side. But it's really more, like you said, cultural, linguistic. There's definitely more pieces to the puzzle. And then I saw someone in the chat say, so I thought it was a good question. Should a male take the test? And so, yes, if you're a female, then you would have a male take the test on either side of your family, on your mother's side or your father's side, to find out what that paternal lineage is for either side. And if you're a male, obviously you could take the test for yourself on your father's side. But if you wanted to know on your mother's father's side, then you would have to have a male on that side of the family take it. So so I hope that answers the question. Okay. So so E1b1a V38 is a Y chromosome haplogroup. That means it passes from father to son unchanged for thousands of years. This one that we're following. Think of it as your genetic signature. It's a genetic signature, and it's like a GPS coordinate that's been traveling through your bloodline since ancient times. And now here's what the research is showing us. And I want you to, hear me on this. So like Trombetta, this is where I start talking about the studies. Trombetta hypothesized that EV38, which is the same as E1b1a, lineages originated in East Africa. Then Schreiner and Rotimi found that E1b1a V38 descendants migrated across the Sahara from East to West Africa, and they started migrating from east to west 19,000 years ago. So that's 19,000 years. Like that's not just ancient, that's even before the latest Bantu expansion from Central and West Africa. And I'll show you a map of what I mean by that, why these are separate events. The east to west migration is different than the Bantu expansion of Central and West Africa. They're different timelines. So my next question for the chat is, what does it mean to you that our lineages may trace back? Well, they started moving around 19,000 years ago to East Africa, but they go back way further than that. So what does that mean to you, if anything? Yeah, I did take the test personally. I took the ancestry and I took the African ancestry. And so obviously I'm not going to be E1b1a. I was L2a1. I'm L2a1. So if they're not I'm not going to be able to, I wouldn't get an E result because the E haplogroup follows the male. The L, in my case, the L is the matriclinial side, or So I'm L2A1, Mandinka from Senegal, according to the test. So hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully, I mean, the way I said it does. All right, so now let's break down the E1b1a family tree a little bit more, so you can understand where you may fit into this incredible family. So let's take a step back, actually, and think of E1b1 as a big family. And then this major lineage, this big family then splits into two significant branches. E1b1a, which is our branch, primarily found across Africa. And then there's E1b1b, which is more common in North Africa and parts of Europe. So we split. And then, but the story gets even more specific with E1b1a. So it divides again into EM2, which is also called E1b1a1. So EM2 is E1b1a1. And the branching of E1b1a1 is primarily found in African Americans and spread, and then it's also mostly found in West and Central Africa. So, and then it's also associated with the Bantu migration. Okay, so that's E1b1a1. Then there's also E1b1a2. And E1b1a2, this lineage stays in East Africa. So what I'm saying is that the E1b1a lineage that we come from, we have, when it split again, some of us stayed in East Africa, and then some of us moved west to West and Central Africa. Let me show you a map, because I'm a visual person. So I have to look at it visually. Oh, you know what? The map kind of only took half the page, but hopefully you can still see it. Okay, so what I'm looking at is the green. What I want you to look at is the green line, and you've probably seen this map before. So most African Americans carry the EM2 branch, or E1b1a1. So this is the lineage that split from E1b1a in the Sahara and spread across West and Central Africa and becomes known for the Bantu expansion. But what happens is where they split off at, and then where they go populate, it tends to be where the scientists say that's their origin. But really that's where they split. So that's why I think it's important for us to see to follow the green, in our case, the green line from that big E, because the big E represents the big family. E1, E1b, E1b1, E1b1a, and then from there they split. Then E1b1a goes west, and then E1b1b goes north. So this is the hypothesized migration map based on the molecular breadcrumbs that have been left behind over time. So what Seminole's research shows, but doesn't emphasize enough, is that the parent lineage, E-P2 or E1b1, is observed mainly in Ethiopians. And EM329 or E1b1a2 is also geographically restricted to Ethiopia. So this suggests that E1b1a as a whole originated in that same area in East Africa, but expanded west. So when we talk about the E1b1a V38, we're talking about this deep ancient root that encompasses these different branches. But for many of us here in the U.S., we come from this EM2 or E1b1a1 is our direct traceable path that connects us to this larger story. And so the scientists used to say that there was 3 branches of E1b1a, but science has advanced. And so now there's just the 2 main branches of E1b1a, which is EM2, that's us, and then EM329, which is E1b1a2, that's they stayed in East Africa. So does knowing this part of your, does knowing your part in this specific branching, how do you see your heritage? Does it, I'm asking, I'm curious because I don't know the answer. So I'm just trying to see if this is in alignment with what you thought or not. And then let me know in the chat. You're also L2A1 haplogroup. Yeah. Oh, okay. What's up? What's up, sister? So, which is a very interesting story too, but we can't cover that today. But L2A1 has a very interesting migration path. So it's similar. It's a similar path as E1b1a. So what exactly did I want to discover in my research? Because that's really what I'm here for. Is I'm sharing with you what I did. So this was my core research question was, because you got to ask yourself a question: how does E1b1a V38 haplogroup patterns in African American men reveal migration paths that could connect to East African origins through the Nile Valley to West Africa and the Americas? So I know that sounds like a mouthful, so I'm going to break it down into simpler terms. So first, I was trying to figure out, can we really retrace the journey of our male lineages step by step across continents and millennia? And then second, I was trying to figure out, can we connect the dots from ancient origins deep in East Africa all the way to where many of us are today in the Americas? And then most importantly, can we do this in a systematic or scientific way, not just relying upon all oral traditions, but can we verify this through genetic markers? So for me, this isn't just an academic exercise. This research aims to provide some concrete answers and a clearer path to understanding our deep ancestral roots. So question, what would it mean to you to know does it mean anything for you to know this journey, this ancestral journey? It verified what you thought. Okay. All right, Nikki. Okay, so.
And Dr. Knox, there's going to be a delay because again, they're on social media or YouTube. So there's going to be somewhat of a delay. So we may want to give them just a couple seconds to respond because they won't respond immediately.
I see. Okay, thank you for letting me know that. Okay, I'll slow down. Maternal lineage L3 E1A3, nice. Yeah, and the tests do a really good job of at least especially the African ancestry and 23andMe do a good job of telling on the maternal side what the haplogroup is. But the African ancestry test does not tell you what the haplogroup is of the paternal side is. It only provides the markers, the STR markers, which is why I had to use another system to come up with a haplogroup predictor to come up with the primary haplogroup. Okay. All right. So I said to myself, when I have this question, let me test this out. So I gathered 12 brothers. They're not related. I'm just saying they're one of us, who had Patrick Clan results. They already took the test on their own. And so I did some social media posts and promoted that I was doing the study, and 12 of them responded and said and participated in my study. So they already took the Patrick Clan test and they had the results already, and they provided it to me. So what I found blew my mind. 10 out of 12 carried the E1b1a V38 variants. So that was 83% of my sample. But the beautiful part was each of their Patrick Clan results connected them to specific African tribes. So one brother was connected to the Balanta people in Guinea-Bissau, another to Yoruba in Nigeria, and then another in Bundu in Angola, and so on. And so all carrying the same ancient lineage family, but scattered across different parts of Africa through migration across the Green Sahara. It was green then. And so this tells us something powerful, that we didn't just randomly end up in different African tribes. There was a pattern, a journey, a purposeful movement of our people across the continent. So now here's a quick fact. According to African ancestry, only 65% of African American men have an African paternal lineage result, meaning 35% of African American men have a non-African paternal lineage result, like Europe. So in my study, one of the participants did not have an African paternal haplogroup prediction. But I mean, he was African American. His family was African American. So it was very interesting to know that going thousands and thousands of years back, because of the disruption, that he did not have. But that's just one lineage on that side of the family. There's many, many, many branches on that side of the family that are African. So just putting it in a context, but I just thought it was an interesting fact. Okay, so all right, so this part here is going to shake some of your feathers, because it is controversial. And so in my research, I found that in 2012, the scientist Hawass and his team did genetic analysis on Pharaoh Ramses III his mummy. And they were trying to figure out who killed this ruler of ancient Egypt. But what they did was they determined through DNA testing that he carried E1b1a haplotype.
Wait a minute. Say that again, Dr. Knox.
Okay, so the scientists they did two different tests.
I heard you, and I'm pretty sure everybody else heard you as well.
Okay, I'll say it again.
I just want you to say it for the people in the back.
Messenger. That in 2012, Hawass and his team did genetic analysis on Pharaoh Ramses III, trying to figure out who killed him, this ancient ruler in Egypt, and they determined through DNA testing that that his haplotype was E1b1a.
Wait a minute. So we do know that most Egyptians carry the E1b1 marker.
Right.
B1b. But this is groundbreaking. I want to make sure that my ears are working tonight.
Yeah.
And I wonder if the hundreds of people who are watching tonight really comprehend what you are articulating tonight.
Yeah.
You're saying Ramses the Third carried the Hebrew marker of E1b1a.
Yes.
If you are saying what I think you are saying, this is groundbreaking, which means we were not just subservient
Right.
in Mizraim, but we actually held viable positions. This is groundbreaking, and there is some additional information to support your claims. Now, we know we mixed a lot, and it proves that this here alone proves that what we call Egyptians were not the Syrian people that we find in Egypt today. If, in fact, Ramses III carried the E1b1a marker, which means that he was Bantu, or what we would call Bantu people. And we know that. And let me show this really quickly. Let me show you the E1b1b marker where most Egyptians are. Hold on, let me share this really quickly. This is my DNA, which I was going to share a little later. Of course, you can see that I'm mostly, of course, sub-Saharan, which is the E1b1a marker, but kind of where I come from. But obviously, there's a little mixture in terms of what Master did, obviously. But notice here the E1b1b marker. E1b1b, mostly, when we look at this outside of Europe, E1b1a, B1b, pardon me, is found in high frequency in Morocco. No, in Morocco, there are some Negro. That's why it's over 80%. There are some E1b1a in Morocco. But Somalia, Ethiopia, Algeria, Egypt, Jordan, Palestine, the ancient the ancient Egyptians had to be also mixed with us. We mixed with them. And that's why sometimes it was very difficult to determine who's who. If you all remember in the Brit Hadashah, where Shaul or Paul, they mistaken him to be an Egyptian.
Right.
So that's groundbreaking in terms of when you look at E1b1b, which we thought that most Egyptians are, including Ramses III. But this moves the Richter scale. This changes the game, so to speak. This moved the goalpost if, in fact, Ramses III carried E1b1a and not E1b1b.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can let me address this while we're at it, Indica, too. I know that Moray Ducey mentioned there that haplogroup EM2 is also E1b1a as well.
E1b1a1.
Right. E1b1 That's correct. One. That's correct. And we're going to show you the difference. Hopefully, if we get through it tonight, potentially what tribe you come from based on your Y chromosome. All right. If you are a male tonight, your Y chromosome. But haplogroup EM2 is also known as E1b1a1. All right. The M2 haplogroup, etc. All right. And they're primarily just within Africa, followed by West Asia, more specifically EM2 is predominantly a subclade in West Africa, Central Africa, and South Africa, etc. I think you mentioned the subclade tonight, and so that would make sense that EM2 also is known as E1b1a1, which also brings me to you will also see EM329.
Yes.
This is also E1b1a2.
Correct.
Right? And the Y chromosome DNA haplogroup, which is in East Africa. So we do know that the migration routes and the distribution from East Africa or southwestern Ethiopian, etc. Well,
Yeah.
if we go back to E1b1b, you will find that part of Ethiopia carries E1b1a. I'm sorry, E1b1b marker. Well, we do know that Solomon also he had children and an offspring with Sheba.
Mm-hmm.
And so in Egypt today, we would call those the Beta tribe. So the Beta tribe have a different DNA, and please someone fact check me. They have E1b1a, while most of Ethiopia have E1b1b. So we are the E1b1a marker, as you have stated, have really spread and and I know you haven't talked about mutations yet, but there was a migration from East Africa into Central Africa and to South Africa and to West Africa and the othermost parts of the world based on their phylogeny.
Yeah.
Right?
And
So,
and
I'm sorry,
since
go ahead.
well, I was going to say that, and also EM329 is the, let's see, would be our sibling that stayed in East Africa. So
That's right.
we're the ones who left. We was like,
Yep.
I'm out. Everybody else is chilling in East Africa, but the EM2, the E1b1a1, that we branch off of, African Americans, and not we are the ones who left and migrated and was like, it's too crowded. I need some more space.
Yep.
But everyone else, E1b1a, I mean, they stayed for the most part in that area in East Africa. So it's just interesting that even an E1b1a split, when E1b1a split, some went to East Africa, and then some went to West and Central Africa, and the ones that went to West and Central Africa are the ones that are the ones that are let's see here, have the signature for the Bantu expansion.
That's right.
Right. And so that Bantu expansion happened within the past 5,000 years.
Yeah.
So that's more recent.
Yep. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying? That the Bantu expansion that they talk about, where they say we're from Niger, Congo, that's a more recent.
That's correct.
Location.
Correct. That's correct. And that mutation also is divided in terms of how not only did they mutate in other areas, but also in terms of linguistics. And that's why there's, don't let them fool you. Niger Congo people are Bantu people. Niger Congo is just a certain dialect, a certain language that they speak. But you're absolutely right. The ancestors of the EM329 is, of course, the V38, as you talked about before. V38 is the same with the EM2, who has E1b1a1, is still the ancestors is that EV38.
Yes.
It's interesting. But no, sorry to interrupt you. Just wanted to chime in to mention that.
Yeah. So, and the reason why I bring this up is because that Ramsey III was one of us. I'll put it that way. He carried the same genetic lineage that many African American men carry today. So 10 out of 12 of my study participants share the same lineage type with this ancient king. And this was about, he would have been ruling around 3,000 years ago. So
could this be some skeletons that are coming out? Could it be where an Egyptian woman slept with a Hebrew man that eventually produced Ramses III?
Oh, to explain why the lineage, the lineage.
Mm-hmm.
That's possible. She could have also been L2 or L3.
That's correct.
L1. So, it did say in the study who killed Ramsey III, that they did not find, that they did not test. Correct me if I'm wrong, but either they did not study or they did not test her. I don't know if it's because they couldn't find her mummy, but they did not test the mother. So I would not be able to say definitively if she was a different non-Bantu or Bantu. But
Mhm.
that would be interesting if later on they find out,
Mhm.
they find her and test her. That would be revealing.
Part of your studies deal with the Nile River. I'm not for sure if you addressed that, but is this a good time to talk about Moshe and Moshe's quest and how the Nile River flows and how that would make it definitive that Moshe was indeed African. He was indeed Bantu.
I don't have a slide for Moshe specifically, but from what I researched, um, okay, so from what I researched, I'm trying to backtrack. So the Nile Valley flows from the south, like, from the mouth of it is in like basically the Congo on the east side, and then flows from south to north. So Upper Egypt is actually in the south, and Lower Egypt is in the north. So when Moshe was put in the basket and put in the Nile River, the basket would have gone from south to north. You understand what I'm saying? So it would have gone from like, yeah, so from the deeper part of Africa. Not it would the basket would not have would not have flowed from the north, like Cairo, like up, it would not have flown, or excuse me, flowed from north to south, because that's not the way that the river goes. So so basically there's plenty of community knowledge and articles about what the haplogroup is of Moshe, but just based on, if you've been in Nubia, if you've been in Sudan, if you've been in Ethiopia, then he would have been African. He would have been a dark, because they were all dark Africans. So it's a little bit. So to answer your question, based on my belief of the way that the Nile flows, because some people think, oh, well, the Nile is really just in Egypt, but actually it starts Lake Victoria there in that Tanzania, Kenya, like in the Horn of Africa, and then it flows all the way up through Ethiopia, Sudan, Nubia, Egypt, and then it opens up into the end of it is in the Mediterranean Sea. That's the end of the river. That's Lower Egypt. And so the relevance of that is, I think, is that he would have come from Upper Egypt, which is south. And which means that he was highly likely to be Bantu. But somebody else could probably explain that a lot better.
No, that was excellent. That's excellent.
Okay.
That's excellent. I can add to that, but no, please continue. But
Okay,
emphatically, we know that if the Nile River runs from south to north, if Moshe's mother put him in a basket in the Nile River and it flowed into Egypt, most definitely in the darker continents, East Africa, which makes sense. And so a lot of the biblical history that we read takes place in East Africa. It's interesting, and I'll share maybe a little later, concerning the Great Rift Valley and how the Great Rift Valley, based on the original genome, based on forensic science, based on flora, based on fauna, based on just a number of things, whether we're talking about the paleontological, ontological studies, fossils, and so on and so forth, is proven that the Great Rift Valley that goes from the Reed Sea, people say Red Sea, but Reed Sea all the way through Kenya, through Tanzania, through through all the way to Mozambique, that 4,000-mile mark, that's where most of the wild animals are. When you talk about flora and talk about plant life, etc. Well, it's there in the Great Rift Valley, but I'll share that momentarily. But I
Okay.
thought it was very interesting, all that East Africa provides, and it brings the scriptures. It's that intersection between the scripture and science, and it all brings it all together. Science is proving
Hmm.
the with strong evidentiary claims the
Yep.
narratives of the scriptures.
Yes, I believe that definitely. And then I will add one more thing, and I'll get back on topic with Moshe. Was that because the Mount Zion is in Kenya,
That's correct. You know
right? And
what?
that's where he
You know what? Kikuyu. You know what they call Mount
mountain.
Zion? They call Mount Zion the place where God lives.
Makes sense.
Which Mount Kenya, of course, many in that area believe that that's Mount Zion. So
And
that changes the landscape.
and when I took Mora Yanira's class on the alphabet, and I studied the alphabet with Mora Yanira, I learned the 22, letters of the alphabet. Well, it's interesting because because he comes down with the tablets. So he must have used the Hebrew letters, or I'm thinking on the tablets. Well, those Hebrew letters look just like Medu Neter, looks just like the glyphs. As a matter of fact, there's like 800 of those glyphs.
Yeah.
So did he borrow from the 22 from? I mean, they look exactly the same if you look at them side by side.
Well, a lot of Hebrews probably would not want to hear this here
I
unless
know.
they have taken my class, one of my classes at the Hebrew Academy International. But most of, I wouldn't say revisionist, but or reduction, but most of our history was borrowed from other civilizations. Other civilizations, we call that epics. Epics, EPICS. Epics means other civilizations that we borrow from. Whether we're talking about the Hammurabi files, whether we are talking about the Enuma Elish, etc. When you look at even Devarim and you look at Moses's farewell speech, when you look at others, how it is fashioned just like other civilizations. We learn from other civilizations. And I think the scriptures support that idea and that notion by saying that you were strangers yourself at once. And
Right.
so when you look at whether it's in Egypt and Mesopotamia, whether it is the Emuna Elish, whether it is Hammurabi files, or whatever course may be, things that are written in cuneiforms, in Akkadian texts. Well, that existed before we were a people as Hebrews. And what I mean, we as a people, before we became a nation of
Right.
people, before we became unified, we borrowed from other civilization. And I
Yeah.
know that hurt people's ears, but when you read the Tanakh is what we call is progressive monotheism. It didn't happen all at once. At one point, we were involved in monolatrous henotheism. Monolatrous henotheism is the idea that although I honor and I worship one deity, I do not deny the existence of other deities and other civilizations. So, but that's a whole different conversation for a different day. I'm not for sure if our listening audience is ready for that conversation. It's
It
not
looks like in
stuff.
right.
So, but yeah, y'all continue, please.
Okay, so now we're taking a turn to try to bring these things together so that I can land. So based on all this research, here's the possible pathway that emerges. And also, there was a question about the L3E, I believe it was, which is also West Central Africa Bantu, but on the Matriclan maternal side. is Bantu. Yeah, the L3E2b is Bantu on the maternal side. So West and Central Africa. Okay, so the possible migration path is East Africa to across the Sahara, to Central and West Africa, and then to the Americas through the slave trade. So my research documented that 10 out of 12 of the participants carry the E1b1a V38 variants. Their patriclan results connect them to specific African tribes, we know that, where their ancestors settled. And the research literature suggests that these lineages may have ancient East African origins that split about 19,000 years ago from where they started before they crossed the Sahara. So what does it mean that we can connect our current location to our African tribal connections and possibly to ancient origins? What does that mean to you? Let me know in the chat. And then while the feed catches up, I'll take a look back. So here's another shocking truth that often gets overlooked. The vast majority of enslaved Africans, an overwhelming number, were taken to Central and South America and the Caribbean. Only a fraction came directly to to the U.S. A fraction came, but the majority of our family went to Central and South America. So this doesn't diminish our history, but it does, shed some light on that piece. And then, so this map that I have up is showing the ports, where they would have embarked us on, or put us on the ships. There were 50% of the Africans that were enslaved come from the Blight of Benin. 50% based on genetics. Okay, so what this study did, let me take a step back. So this study, they sampled the Y chromosome of Africans that live in these areas along the west and central coast today, like now, and they tested them, thousands of them, and then they also tested African Americans, thousands, and what they found was that 50% of African Americans that they tested shared the same haplogroup of Africans living around the Blight of Benin, and 30% shared the same haplogroup as Western Central Africa. 13% shared the same haplogroup as Senegambia, Africans in Senegambia, and 7% shared along the coast. So that's what this map is showing in terms of the major slave ports that carried us here. And they did that through the Y-DNA testing.
Yeah, and Dr. Knox, if I can chime in,
Yeah.
For those of us who've been to Nigeria and Ghana several times, for instance, in Ghana, of course, there are three major slave ports or castles, or we call them dungeons, and that's exactly what they are, dungeons. But in Elmina, the Elmina Castle is where the Portuguese, that's the largest, and the Portuguese. And their records show that they went more into Brazil. So to keep in mind, before any of us African Americans, I know we were here before we came here. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. But for those of us who did come over in the transatlantic voyage, long before, almost 100 years before us, starting in 1520, the Portuguese was taking our people to Brazil. That's why there is a large amount of people with E1b1a marker in
Yeah.
Brazil, in Lima, in Peru, in those areas. Why? Because 100 years before we got to the shores of the United States, um, they were taken there by the Portuguese. And then the second largest of the slave castle is in Cape Coast, and that's the British. And so the British, as known, the British is the ones who their ships, they brought them to places like Virgin Islands, like the Bahamas, like places like, and eventually to the U.S. But then we have Denmark, or the Danish. The Danish, there is in an Osu community in Accra, there is a castle there as well. And in that castle, you can see where they took them to the islands and other parts of the world. They even went, instead of going to the Americas, they went to Asia and other places as well. So we do see that. When you look at the Ashanti people, part of the Akan, we know that there's a direct correlation between Ashanti people and Jamaicans. They have the same diet, they have dietary habits, they have the same traditions, everything. So we do see a direct linkage and connection between between Ashanti and Jamaica. Or you look at the Ewe people in the Volta region in Ghana, in the Togolese, in Benin. They're known for two things, and part of Yoruba in West Nigeria. They were known for two things. They were known for their, of course, people call it voodoo or witchcraft, but they were also known for their rebellion. Guess where they went to? And you see the same culture, the same DNA markers. They went to Haiti.
Yep.
So there is a direct correlation, and I'm going to share momentarily based on your doing DNA, because not only are we trying to link this back to your tribes, there's over 1,500 Bantu tribes in Africa. Not only do I link it to your tribe, but how do you link it to the tribe of the 12 tribes of Israel? I think we got some information tonight that we might want to share that might, based on your DNA, based on certain markers, will link you to a certain tribe. I deal with that.
Okay. Okay. So how did we get here now? So we've talked about so far we've talked about the deep ancient past and the devastating transatlantic journey, because I just showed the ports, or excuse me, the areas where we were taken from. But there's another, actually, let me just take a step back. So when you said the subclass, so there are gaps in the research. I should point that out. There's gaps in the research because when they, for example, when they came up with the, let me go back. When they came up with this map saying where the percentages come from, they don't tell you which subclades were sent where. Like we would have to go back into like the slave voyages database and look individually at, who at, maybe some of the slave ports were tracking like one individual to find out what slave port that person came from. And then you can backtrack from there. But in the population studies, in these the problem with these population studies, when they do these big studies, is that you lose some of that. It doesn't carry over, which I think is something that we probably have to do on our own if we want to fill some of those gaps, because the research doesn't tell us where specific subclads go from these ports to the Americas. But like I say, it could be done on an individual level. And then I believe we will watch a video where a researcher has hypothesized where some of us are. So I think that'll be helpful. Dr. Howard, when I'm done, we could show that a little bit of that video. But now, okay, so I'm going to move more into more recent history. So we've talked about the deep ancient past and the devastating transatlantic journey, but there's another monumental movement that shaped where many of our families are today. And so that movement is called the Great Migration, which happened between 1916 and 1970. And that was roughly 6 million African Americans moved from largely rural South, the South, to urban industrial centers in the North and the West as a response to the harsh Jim Crow laws, oppression, and the promise of better opportunities. So we branched out. And then a lot of the major destinations included places like Chicago and Detroit and Cleveland, New York, Philly, LA, even Portland. So we really, matter of fact, I have a map. So you can see from this image how significant this internal migration was. Like whole families, communities moved. The peak periods coincide with both world wars, as factories in the North needed more labor, pulling people to those major cities from that orangish southern states following the green major routes. You can see the major cities where we migrated to. And so why does this matter for my research? Because it explains how the E1b1a V38 lineages, which were primarily concentrated in southern states after the slave trade, then spread throughout the entire US to where your current address, your hometown, very likely connects back to this pivotal period in American history. That's why we're so dispersed in this country today. So this sort of completes that journey of these lineages for now, from their possible ancient origins in East Africa through the Nile Valley to West Africa and Central Africa, across the Atlantic to the South, and finally dispersed across the US through the Great Migration. So my next question is, does anyone know their family's Great Migration story within, do you know where your people come from in the South? Is my question. Put that in the chat. And if you hear some kids in the background, that's because they're coming back in the house. So let me see. Okay, so then, so what I did, this is what I did. So I developed a way to connect these 3 points using the possible ancient genetic origins to the African tribal connections from the test to where we are right now, to explore, possible migration pathways. And I called that triangulation. And the triangulation method is simple but powerful because it connects 3 points. The star pin is the hypothesized ancient origins based on genetic research. The heart is the African tribal connections. The West and Central African connections. And then the house pin is where we live now. And I don't know if Dr. Howard, if you wanted to pull up the community map, I don't know if you still have it up. Okay, so Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Carolinas, these are some of the places. So a lot of you do know your southern migration or routes: Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, Texas. That makes sense. And so, yes. So what I did was I expanded my study across all the participants, and I placed based on their haplotype, there were 3 origins that came up in the study. So that's the 3 black stars on the right. And then from there, I drew lines to match them to their tribe and the country that the test said was, their match. And then I put slave ships where the major slave ports are. And then I drew lines to where they are today, because like I said, and so that's the little houses. The houses are where they live now, because like I said, there's a gap in the research of where we are disembarkation and embarkation points. So we would have to go like individually, but as far as population studies go, it's not clear where the subclads, excuse me, it's not clear. Oh yeah, where the subclads in general, like where they what ships they got on. So the best that I could do is say, okay, well, this person from California is L485. And this person from Texas is these are all E1b1a, except for 2 of them. This person in Texas, his subclass is M4231. So this is how I'm kind of for our community. This is for our community. This is what I'm doing is adding to this map anonymously. I know we don't like our business out there. So I'm doing this anonymously to share, make it public on my website, tracking these lineages. And as we get more information, as science and genetics and all this information, as technology advances, I'm hopeful that we will be able to make more connections than just these 3 points, because there was more to it than what I'm showing, for sure. All right.
And give them your website again. I had it up as well. Give them your website again.
Okay, it's www.drknox.com.
Is it .phd?
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even know my own domain. .phd. Okay. So it's drknox.phd. And you can still submit your markers anonymously. You can still submit your markers. I don't reveal to anyone or through the study what your your name or contact information or any of that. Matter of fact, I don't even collect it unless you want me to respond to you with your lineage map, or your lineage, but I don't collect it otherwise. And I don't share it, and I don't use it for any other purpose. And so what this could mean for us. So if this research is correct, and then what Dr. Howard is showing is an interactive tool I created of the 12 participants, if you wanted to see more about the tribes that they come from. So if this research is correct and the evidence is strong, it means we may be descendants of ancient East African populations who migrated across the Green Saharan Africa for thousands of years before eventually settling in these specific tribes in West and Central Africa. But even thinking deeper than that, we're talking about lineages that connect us to the African civilizations during biblical times. So this same genetic signature that is present in these African American men that was in this are present in ancient Egyptian royalty over 3,000 years ago, 3,000. And it was probably the same bloodlines that built the first kingdoms, developed mathematics, medicine, architecture long before that. So this isn't necessarily claiming that we're better than anyone else, but it's about understanding that we carry ancient heritage in our DNA. It's encoded in our genetic structure. And so I'm just wondering in the chat, how might, if at all, this changes how you see yourself and your community. And then I'll take a look. And I have two, this is my second, no, this is pretty much my last slide. You're welcome. Thanks. I like to keep it simple. So the scripture says that we are a chosen generation, a royal priesthood, a holy nation, a peculiar people. So when I look at this genetic evidence, I see scientific validation of spiritual truth. The research suggests that we carry ancient lineages with deep African roots. We are the carriers of heritage that goes over thousands of years, and we're a living continuation of that journey that began where even human civilization emerged in Africa. I mean, the journey is still living through us. It's not broken. So no wonder we're awakening now. No wonder we're seeking the truth. No wonder traditional systems can't contain our spiritual power, because we're literally carrying genetic memory that goes back really to the very beginning. And so let me see here. I wish I could do the test because I'm not a scientist. I guess I'd have to get a geneticist to do the test. I would love for us to be able to do our own. Could you imagine if we could do our own tests? It wouldn't have to rely on commercial DNA companies to do it for us. And then we could, do our own analysis. Like that would be like a dream come true. So because I'm reading the chat. I'm reading comments in the chat. So yeah, so just let me know what you feel about that. And then, so what do we do with this information? So first, if you have gotten your Patrick Clan test, because right now I'm kind of limited to that particular test from African ancestry, you can submit your markers on the website here that's shown. If you're a female, Amora, so you could also have a male in your family take the test for you because it's still your heritage. So you could have a male take the test, and then we can do the same mapping. And I have plenty of people in the study where the daughter or the niece submitted the results because they wanted to know. And so we can learn together what the haplogroups and STR markers mean as we build more case studies into this map. And then those are the genetic fingerprints that's going to tell our story. And I'm constantly learning about, as we may be adding more origins, right? We may find that out. So then we could explore what the research really suggests about the lineage, because 12 case studies is really small. It's a real small sample size. So I would love to grow it with your help. And so then we can predict. So if you submit the markers, then I can help you predict your haplogroup, and I will map the lineage, and then I will share that with you if you opt in to provide me with your email. And then, because I want to give us the ability to explore our own heritage using this systematic approach that I used in my study. And thank you for now, unless Dr. Howard has any more questions. This was, and then there's Q&A. So I'm ready for Q&A, but I just wanted to thank you for your time and attention and all the kindness really from the chat. Like, I wasn't sure what to expect with this information, but I feel very relieved that you were so receptive, and you've been a great audience so far. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's let's give Dr. Knox an ovation. Please put your claps and your wands in the chat. This is outstanding research. We are so proud of what you're doing for our community. Influence is what we give, but certainly impact is what we leave. And so thank you for using your resources, your influence, and your impact. This research is outstanding to be able to tie that to the migration of modern America, contemporary America, and where we are now. This is the beginning of really what the scripture says, that that in the land of our captivity we will come to ourselves, or in Jeremiah chapter 17, that he's going to restore the heritage that he once gave us, or in Yoshiyahu chapter 1, that an ox knows his master and a donkey knows his owner, but Israel have not considered. Well, we're considering now. We are coming back to our heritage. Unfortunately, in our community, we deal with cultural psychosis and intrinsic misidentification. And if ever you want to eliminate a people group, exterminate a people group, disconnect them from their heritage and their culture. So what you are doing is groundbreaking. It's groundbreaking. and say Toda Rabat for your research and all that you have been doing. I think this is emblematic as to what is to come in our community. Um, your again, your research has been outstanding. Uh, it has continuity of thought. It doesn't have a lot of what I call non-sequesters. And I'm an educator, and particularly on the collegiate level and seminary and levels. And I know a lot of people have non-sequesters. This research it's groundbreaking. It is it's a zenith, as we call it. It is powerful. Um, it is it really helped bring connection. And so you and I talked about how this is cathartic for our people to be able to draw their connection, to know, number one, where they come from, that we have a history beyond 1619. And if you do come from Africa, where do you come from? Where did your people migrate? Are they the Bantu people? Are they Meru? Are they Kaba? Are they Kitsi? Are they Kikuyu? Are they Luau? Luau are Bantu as well. Are they Chua? Are they Zulu? Are they Hosa? Did they come from Botswana? Did they come from Mozambique? Did they come from Tanzania? Did they come from Central Africa Republic? Did they come from Congo? Did they come from Angola? Did they come from Gabon? Did they come from Cameroon? Did they come from Namibia? Did they come from Nigeria? Did they come from Ghana, Sierra Leone? And the list goes on. And then if they did come, because again, when you look at the Berlin Conference, sometimes called the Congo Conference, you get all these European countries that came in, chopped up Africa, and said, okay, this is going to be called Nigeria. This is going to be called. Well, really, there was not these hard lines. We were tribal people, and so the countries that exist today only came about because of the Berlin Conference. But this is awesome. This is awesome. And so thank you again for the preponderance of research you put into this here. This is really the linchpin to something greater. And I know that many of us are reticent. We are ambivalent when it comes to taking DNA tests. I don't trust them. Ashkenazi, own it. And so no one is paranoid like a Hebrew. No one. Right? I get it. But we have to start somewhere, right, in terms of this connection. And I have saw how what is intended for evil, the Most High have allowed it to work for good. I saw that consistently. And so, if not this way, and I understand that you are visceral and ambivalent concerning taking tests and so on and so forth, and some of you are going to probably have something negative to say, indiscriminately against what was said tonight, because you just have this phobia about DNA tests. Well, come a little closer. While many of you share the idea of synapticism, you believe in going back to the law, statutes, and commandments. That's a great thing. And you'll make it into the kingdom. But just because you're melanated doesn't mean that you're Bantu or that you have E1b1a marker. There's several people who have taken a DNA test, found out they're Fulanis. I think someone put in the chat tonight that on their mother's side, they're Fulani. I'm not for sure if they know if their father's side. For Fulani, Fulanis are Nilo people or Kushite people. They're not Bantu. The Luau people, in fact, Great Awakening, we have our first sojourner community in Homa Bay, Kenya. And the Luo, not Luau, Huhya are Bantu, but Luo, Luo, are Nilo people. They're Nilo people. And so as the migration happened, there's a lot of mixing, there's a lot of intermarrying, etc. And this is why some of you may have a marker that may not be aligned with the E1b1a marker. or the EM2, or some of the other markers we talked about tonight. So, Dr. Knox, I want to appreciate number one going over the origins of modern humans, what we call human, right? Human, a hue man. Hue means human, right? Or it means like you got hue, right? Hue is melanated, human. So thank you for going over that, the origins of that. And when you look at the uh, paleontological design, you look at fossils, you look at the original genome, you look at forensic science, and what modern technology is showing us is that emphatically civilization started in East Africa. We know that for sure. In fact, let me show you a quick video concerning Adam, right? And what modern technology and what forensic science said about Adam.
Now Frank Bender can show us what he might have looked like. His goal is not just to sculpt Adam, but to reveal his personality.
I tried to get into his head just like I would a fugitive. Intuition is the binder between art and science. It's the part that pulls it all together and gives it that life, that spark. I picture him very much alive and with a lot of the basic feelings that we have today. Confidence one point, insecurity at another.
Finally, Wells comes face to face with the man he's been searching for. A new portrait of the common ancestor of every man today. Adam. Without the skull, we can't know for sure what Adam looked like. But a combination of genetic evidence, Bender's forensic skills, and cutting-edge computer software suggest he looked something like this. Thousands of years after the Bible, and hundreds of years after Michelangelo, we have a whole new face for Adam.
I like the expression. He's got a very forceful look.
He's intent on something, maybe taking over the world. You begin to get perhaps an insight into why these guys won out and why this guy's our ancestor.
Science can't tell for sure what set Adam apart. There were other men who lived alongside him. But over the centuries, all the other men's lines died out. Maybe some had only daughters, or no children at all. Their Y chromosomes were lost forever. Only Adam's lineage survives.
Yeah, so that's, wanted to share a little bit about that in terms of the original genome and what they're saying, and maybe some other point I'll come on and share how I've personally been to Kenya several times and saw the Great Rift Valley, talked to the Kamba people and the Meru people and Kikuyu. It's sometimes spelled with a G. Well, that's significant, right? Kikuyu or Kikuyu. Kikuyu used to be a long time ago in terms of when you look at and that's why we spend a lot of time on the Indo-European language. But what about the Indo Shemitic African language? When you look at it, Kikuyu used to be Habiru. Wait a minute, Habiru? Habiru. In fact, in Kenya, the term Karibu means, of course, welcome. But Habiru is what the Canaanites used to call the Hebrews. Go look up the Armana letters, ARMNA, Armana letters, and look at the Armana letters. The Armana letters was the Canaanites and the Canaanites would write to the Egyptians. Remember, they were subservient to the Egyptians. That was part of the prophecy that they will always be subservient to their elder brother, right? Mizraim, or what we call Egypt today. But in the Amarna letters, they said that the chief of the Hebrews, writing to the Egyptians, have conquered all of these places and all of these cities. Well, if you go look in terms of the scriptures, you will find what Yehoshua or Joshua is the same cities that he conquered are written in our Amarna letters. And the Amarna letter is a whole different piece of literature from the scriptures. And yet we see through tale, through archaeological finds, we see through various tale, what we call tale. We see tale, we see fossils, etc., that proves that Yehoshua or Joshua conquered those cities. Well, that's in the Amarna letters as well. So we see that. But Kikuyu used to be Habiru. So Kikuyu evolved and became the Germanic term that we all know today, Hebrew. Hebrew is a Germanic term. But there was a migration of that term. If you go look at the etymological inherent meaning of Kikuyu, you will find Habiru. Habiru became Kikuyu. Kikuyu became what we call today Hebrew, which means burnt or dark face. This is why in the Jewish Encyclopedia it says that no Ashkenazi Jew should be called a Hebrew. No one shall we call. So thank you, Dr. Knox, for even bringing up this whole idea of the E1b1a, B1a, and the E1b1 Y chromosome. You highlighted some significant things tonight in terms of the marker, particularly in the not only the L in the early our matrial clan, but also looking at our patriclan, our patrilineal ancestral roots. I remember my daughter Faith, years ago. She said, I don't believe we come from sub-Saharan Africa. I don't believe we come from East Africa, Northeast Africa," is what I told her at the time. "I don't believe it. I don't believe it." She said, "I need for y'all to pay for me." She said it just like that, a DNA test. And we did. And hers came, I think, L2, and it came back and it said that she come from an ancestor that was in Northeast Africa, sub-Saharan. From there, she's been believing ever since then. Right? Her
Wow.
DNA proved it. And so that brings up a good point because there is almost 1,500 Bantu tribes or Niger Congo people, families in Africa. Which one you belong to? What tribe, etc. I think as the world becomes smaller, knowledge is increasing, and the likes of Dr. Knox is helping us answer some age-old questions. In the next 2 to 5 years, we're going to be able to pinpoint with specificity not only what tribe we come from, but also is going to link back to which of the 12 tribes we come from. I believe that. I really believe that. And some of us are going to be hard to tell because there's a mixture, but I think your dominant gene is going to tell that. Now, let me share that because we do want to get to some of the questions. But let me share this. Again, some of this has not been tested. It has not been verified, some of the data, but I think it's a start in terms of looking at the E1b1a marker, looking at which tribes in Africa, which people groups in Africa carry these, and what their traditions are, and some of their oral history. Some say that we are the tribe of Benjamin, and some say that no, we are Judah, etc. But based on like the Limba people, but based on some of their oral history, based on their migration routes. Like the Limba people said that they migrated from the north down into Yemen, and then cross over to Zimbabwe in South Africa. That's their history. Someone put in here earlier about I wish there was a connection between the Bantu history and the Metra Netra. And so we do see among the Igbo people, I'll probably pull it up for you, their language, Igbo, is almost identical, half Hebrew and half Egyptian. How did they learn Egyptian? Because their story is they didn't go back to Canaan or Canaan with Moshe. They went deep down into what we call Nigeria today. They traveled south. That's just been their oral history for thousands of years. But this is an idea of what, based on your DNA, what tribe you may come from. Here it is. So again, that's just a snippet of that gives you some idea whether you belong to Naphtali or Gad or Benin or Benjamin, etc. And many in the islands are already discovering that based on their connection to many of the Akan tribes in Ghana or the Madingo people or Igbo or Yoruba. They're drawn a connection with as the ancient Israelites and what tribe they actually come from. So before we take some questions, I got so many videos we won't be able to get to it tonight because of the time and a lot of information that I think that will help augment some of the things that Dr. Knox mentioned. But I will be remiss if I didn't pull up the fact of the and give a shameless plug to the Hebrew Academy International. And so please, you can go to Hebrew www.hebrew academy int.org, Hebrew Academy int.org. Or you can call 313-351 Yah 1, the Hebrew Academy. We offer several programs, and please bear with us as we update our website. But many of you may be interested in our PhD program. We do use a doctor of philosophy. It is philosophy, but it's Eastern philosophy. It's Eastern philosophy. It's the Eastern Hebrew perspective. And so we do use that in terms of our PhD students. It is a very rigorous program. We have went through a number of changes over the last couple of years, but we still have a number of students standing. It is a 3-year program where you eventually defend your dissertation. But please just go to our website and you can read all the information, the PhD manual, which is updated, and read about the PhD program, what we offer, etc. And so, if we are going to truly be a nation, we need our own school, our own hospital, our own grocery store, and our own banking system. And so, we are doing education for us, by us, for us, by us. So, when you get opportunity, please go through the website and look at the website. Some information may be outdated. Just give us some time to update it. But if you have any questions, please call 313-351-YA1. 351 Yah 1. All praises be to the Most High. Hallelujah. All right, let's take some questions for Dr. Knox. Dr. Knox, thanks again, Toda, to you for your diligence in helping our lives be that much easier and answering some questions that we have had, some age-old questions concerning our identity. And certainly your research is certainly um, helping bridge that gap. Yeah. Any questions
Yes.
for Dr. Knox? Let's see if some people have questions. I think you did a thorough job, Dr. Knox.
Yay.
Um, Explain again for those who may just coming on. Explain what E1b1a or the V38 haplogroup is, and why it's so important to tracing our ancient lineage. In this case, our ancient Hebrew lineage.
Okay, let's see. Remind me to, okay, so the E1b1. So trying to just go back to some of what I was saying, or and try to round it out more. Yeah, is the way I describe it is a signature that we can, like a stamp of time. And we can say that during this stamp of time, E1b1a V38, you know, branched off from its parent around 19,000 years ago, you know, in what we hypothesize in East Africa before migrating. Well, no, it would have branched again because there's some because into E1b1a1 and E1b1a2.
That's right.
And actually, I learned a lot just from looking back a step and then looking forward a step, right? So kind of like when you look at scripture, how you taught us, Dr. Howard's, how we look at scripture. We need to look at it in context.
Yeah.
We can't just look at a piece of scripture. We have to look at what did it say before and what happened after.
Yeah.
And so when I look at E1b1a, I look at what happened before. Okay, E1b1 definitely originated in East Africa. And then when I look at, okay, so then that's what happened. So then if I look at E1b1a1 and E1b1a2, which would have been a step after, right? Then, well, they tell a completely different, they tell another part of the story, because one stays in East Africa and then the other one goes, goes across the Sahara to, or actually kind of branches off in the Sahara and then becomes West and Central Africa, populates West and Central Africa. So putting this all together, I I would hypothesize that E1b1a also is from this East African area. And I mean, East Africa is a big region. So that's a whole nother thing. Like, well, what part of East Africa are you talking about? and this is where things go kind of, the different researchers go back and forth. Some say, okay, it's the Horn of Africa, which is big. Ethiopia, which in ancient times, which was much larger than what it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, all of Africa was called Ethiopia at one point.
That's right.
Kush. It was Kush, the land of Kush. Yeah. So, what are we really talking about when we say East Africa? So I put that star that I was talking about is a big star. It's a big star because, we need to do more research to really pinpoint, to be more exact. But anyway, I hope, did that answer your question?
It does. It does. I mean, in detail. Thank you so much for the audience. You do have a question on the screen, Dr. Knox, and thank you, Dr. Knox. Out of curiosity, you mentioned your father is from Angola. Like myself, which of the tribes would he fall under? Thank you.
Yeah, good question. Mbundu, Angola. And I looked that up. I looked up what, who are the Mbundu, and obviously they're a Bantu tribe. And I looked more into their culture and their beliefs, and they have a strong, I think they have strong Hebrew systems, African, belief systems, but that are very strong Hebraically. So that was for me, knowing this information and being able to go back and look at just something as simple as a tribe helps me form my sense of identity. So that's where he was. Yeah.
Yeah, well said. It's a follow-up question that also deals with Angola and Congo, and probably Gabon, since it's right there as well. Maybe Cameroon as well, and Central African Republic, I would put there as well. But how is that DNA incorporated in your study, if at all? Thanks again.
Africans. Wait, given that approximately 49% of the enslaved Africans came from, how is that DNA incorporated in your study? Well, so it's interesting, a good question, because I let the participants' results tell me the story, right? So each test was a narrative, told a story that they couldn't even tell me. So, they had the letter from the testing company, and then, like I said, that letter had those markers on it. Well, they didn't know what those markers meant. So the markers told me where to look. The markers tell us where to look, and so that we know, and it also tells the tribe and the country. So that work is kind of done for us. The letter says, oh, you're, in this case, Mbundu from Angola, and here's the markers. Well, so it tells us that, but then we need to look and do the haplogroup predictor to find out what those markers mean, what they will tell us. So I did it the other way around, I guess. Instead of looking at how is the DNA of enslaved Africans incorporated into my study, I'm looking at how does the DNA of current of African American men that are alive today connect us. What story is that going to tell us if we trace it all the way back? You understand what I'm saying? It's like I'm sort of I call myself a time traveler. I'm time traveling with their story, with their markers.
That makes sense. Thank you for that.
Yep.
It says, "Shalom, Doctor."
I'm gonna call myself Dr. No. I like Dr.
No. How appropriate, right? How appropriate. Shalom, Dr. No. They meant Dr. Knox. It was that's Teshuba. Godot presentation. When you looked at Egyptian genetics and found a high percentage of us there, did you also see a percentage of those in power today? Toda.
Well, I specifically looked at that one pharaoh, because today we know that today um, the population that exists there today in Egypt is not the native, is not the indigenous population. They're intruders. So, I'm so glad you brought that up, because here's the thing. This is the little trick they like to play. Some geneticists, Egyptologists too, they'll say, well, if I do a study on the population of Egypt today, then they're not African. They're from the Near East. Well, yeah, if you intruded thousands of years ago, right? And then you repopulated that area and you kicked all of the Bantu people out, or whoever was there, right? You kicked all the Africans out and you repopulated it with some foreign population, and we test those people now. Of course, they're not going to match. And they're going to match some other place. And then this is so this is why it's important to know the history, because the people that live there today, their DNA matches, Turkey or some J2A, or a lot of J2s, right? But that's not the ancient. That's not the ancient population. So, but the reason why they do that, they do these studies testing the people that are there today, and then they say, oh, well, they match the ancient ancestors of the people in the Near East, is because they want to claim, they, as in the Ashkenaz and whoever the Europeans, they've always wanted to claim Egypt for themselves. Why? Because there is no Exodus movement into, I mean, it would not, they would not be able to, they needed to try and prove that they are the real people, right? That they are the people. So they're trying to, and you can help me out, Doctor, because I start getting preachy, and I'm trying not to get preachy. But what I'm trying to say is, what they're trying to do with those studies is they're trying to prove that they have that connection genetically to Egypt, but they don't. So, but they need to do that in order to continue the lie. Does that make sense? They're doing that to try and continue the lie, that they are the original people from Egypt, but they're not. And they need Egypt, because most of the Old Testament occurs in Egypt. So if you were never there, I just have to say this point. If you were there, there would be DNA breadcrumbs to prove you were there. And so that's why this Pharaoh in this case is really important for us. This Ramsey the Third, that their people tested. We don't have that kind of equipment. They did all kinds of tests. They did that test and said that he was E1b1a. They weren't even looking for that. They were trying to do some forensic who killed him type stuff, but they ended up by inadvertently proving that he was one of us. And so, okay, so we were there during biblical, and dates it, right? Because if he died in 1155 BC, now that puts a date on it when we were there, which is during biblical time. So do you understand what I'm trying to reconstruct the story genetically, because I know we have the proof. We have the receipts. They don't. Okay, that was a long-winded answer.
No, but that's great. That's great. And that leads us to, really, you kind of answered the second one, is there are some people that claim J haplogroup, Germanic people represent the Hebrew bloodline. What are they basing that off? And I think you have eloquently shared that, and I will just kind of add to that by looking at this J haplogroup. And so you tell me, based on the J haplogroup, and of course, we look at the phylogenetics. Phylogenetics means, testing and looking at, drawing a comparison of certain patterns of shared ancestry, if you will, that in between lineages, and so you will see that these people in Europe and Central Asia, South Asia, Southeast Asia, they don't have the Bantu story. Zephaniah says that my people will be surplanters and that they would migrate, or they're just beyond, my surplanters are just beyond the Ethiopian River. Well, that would be Central and West Africa. They don't have that storied history. Where do they line up in the scriptures with that? So you look at the haplogroup IJ subclades, you see in both of their lineages, and so you'll find that many of these people are, of course, Sudanese and Nubians. But watch this: it's a Jews, Turks, Greeks, Jordanians, etc., Italians, etc. Already it already eliminate them based on the highest frequency of the J haplogroup. Sometimes that's the JM 304. But you see, in terms of their descendants um, in Southern Europe, Northwest Iran, North Africa, they don't have. That's why oral history is important. Dr. Knox been, or Dr. No, pardon me, Dr. No has been mentioning tonight the importance of also of triangulation, not just genetics, but you got to look at geography.
Yeah.
You also got to look at history. What is the oral history? And these folks don't have the oral history that corresponds with the scriptures. We do know that Solomon went into the Congo. That means he had to be, its proximity had to be relatively close to the Congo because that's where he got his leopard skin from, his leopard's fur from, pardon me. It's in the Congo. We know that Joseph had a coat of many colors. Well, we know emphatically, based on the storied history of the Ashanti people, that's the kente cloth. We know that there is sharing history when you look at the Akan people. Go ask any Akan people. Go ask Bono. Go ask God. Go ask Fanti. Go ask them, when do they circumcise their boys? They're going to tell you a week after they're born, 8 days. The knocking that goes on. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. Well, that's cultural terms. We have turned it into something spiritual, but these are cultural terms. These are cultural idioms. To knock is the idea of when a husband would knock on the father's of the bride's door. Is that still happens in among the Niger Congo Bantu people? I can tell you we're in Kenya and just reading so many signs. Like, wait a minute, that's Hebrew. Wait a minute, that's Hebrew. Wait a minute, this is Hebrew. And so constantly seeing all of these terms that is Hebrew, or going to Ghana and seeing outside of Twi, seeing these terms as a Hebrew, and these people have no connection anymore. We interview many of them who have said that their great grandmother used to tell us we come from Israel. Or we come from north. When you look at the Ashanti people tell you that they are not the original inhabitants of that land. They migrated. And the Ashanti region is a large region in Ghana. They control Ghana, right? If they sneeze, the rest of Ghana catches a cold. But they will tell you that they migrated. They were not the original settlers in what we call Ghana today. It's all migration. So, yeah, I think um, uh, what Dr. Knowledge said, makes sense because even when you look at some of these are Arabs. You see Arabs here. Well, this is why you have to use a lot of what we call metaphysical. The three branches of study. You got to look at metaphysics. You have to look at epistemology, and you got to look at axiology. When we look at this metaphysically, what you will find out is that this idea of Arab is an idea of there's three different type of Arabs, and there's an Arab what we call al Bakta, and that means these are the original Arabs. When you read the Quran, you read some of the Sunnah, the Hadith. it often talk about these original Al Arab Al Bakti, and these were dark individuals who carry E1b1b, much like the Berbers do. E1b1b, they carry that, which means these were melanated Arabs. Now that changed when we got to the idea when many from Syria began to migrate, and you get the idea of Al Arab, Al Mutariba, and Mustariba. Look up the term Mustariba and Mustariba. Right? Let's look at that. Mustariba. Look at Mutariba and Mustariba. Maybe I need to go back. Hold on. Mutariba. Let's go Mutariba. And Mustariba. See, these are the Arabized Arabs. These individuals migrated into where we call now. These individuals are Syrians. These are lighter Arabs who came in, they learned the culture, they grew in the culture. And if you talk to anyone from Yemen, go to Yemen, you will find Al Arab, Al Bakta, and these are the dark Arabs. Dark Arab. The lighter Arabs, like Muhammad and others, these came in. They were not original. These were Arabized Arabs, which means they were not original Arabs. They came in a little later. All right. And so if you just look at these here, you will see that these are not the original. These lineages that came in are Mutariba and Mustariba. They came in a little later. They were not original Arabs, much like in Egypt. Egypt today, they came in later. The whitewashing that goes on. Right? And so even Muhammad is said, if you read many of the Sunnah, if you read the Sunnah, you will find out that, or the Hadith, you will find out that he was white like snow. He was not what we call the original Arab. So my point is that they will share the J haplogroup. That's why some of the Arabs are there. So it is incumbent upon us that we do some investigatory research. We just don't read Wikipedia and say, oh, yep, the Arabs, oh, yep, this and it. The J haplogroup means that these are white Arabs, just like all these other nations are white. Greeks, Italians, Georgians, they are white folk. All right, sorry about that. I didn't mean to monopolize the time, Dr. Knox. Or Dr.
No, that's great. I'm glad no, that's good.
Should a male relative do an ancestry test for us on our dad's side?
Yes. I mean, if you are female, yeah, you should have a male do the ancestry test on your dad's side if you're trying to find out the paternal lineage of your father's side.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could also have a male on your mother's side do the test, and you could find out the paternal lineage of your mother's side of the family. So it just depends on what side of the family you're trying to test.
Yep. That's great. I'll move these along pretty quickly, Dr. Knox. I know we've been on for quite some time, and you're on the West Coast there, so it's about to, the sun is probably about to go down.
Oh, yep.
Okay. From Ima Aruka said, please explain M4254, which is said by 23andMe to be a part of the M2.
Okay. Let's see. I was just doing a quick search. does trace back to, yeah. Well, the E is going to tell us where it traces back to East Africa. That, I
Yep.
mean, as soon as you see the E.
Yep. Yep.
But the subclad will tell you a little bit more about more recent history, and so it looks like that traces to West Africa. And what else? Because that M2 part is, so it's still E1. Well, if it's saying, if 23andMe report is saying that it's part of the M2, then what that's saying, telling you is that it's the E1b1a1 branch of E1b1a. So that's how I would interpret. That's what that M2 is telling you.
Well, also, that's linked to Ramses III as well. That M4254 is said to be linked to Ramses and the third. I'll say that really quickly. And this is best based on 23andMe, and take it for what it is. But 23andMe said that the EM4254 is linked to Ramses III, and we already
Yep.
declared that, of course, there's the
V38.
EV38. So
Yep.
yeah, so it said that he's linked to Ramses III. So there's a whole bunch of things going on in Egypt, and we know not all of our ancestors came out of Egypt. Some
Correct.
stayed, and so there's a lot of intermarrying. There's a lot of other things that took place as well.
That's right.
Yeah. Somebody was doing it. One of the things I wanted to bring up is I want to show you something really quickly. I thought was interesting. You mentioned you're from the Mbundu people, and one of the things I noticed that 13.5% of my DNA is, of course, from Angola and the Congolese, and the Congo and Mbundu people.
Wow.
So as you can see, I'm kind of all over the place with most of my DNA from Nigeria and Ghana. Well, as you can see, this all over, but it linked a portion of my DNA here. And so one of the things too, the research, part of the Congo and Mbundu people is that many people are connecting them to the Geechee people. You ever heard of that?
Yeah, in was it South Carolina?
South Carolina,
Yeah.
parts of Georgia, parts of Virginia, etc., have linking them to the Geechee people. So,
which makes sense because they sort of isolated and they didn't really do too much mixing. And they maintained their heritage.
That's correct.
Yeah.
That's correct. Let's see, get you through this here.
Through oral tradition. Yeah.
Were there any evidence of any testing done by any of the patriots that were in earlier times than Ramses III? I think they meant to say patriarchs, and so the patriots.
Yeah, the patriarchs, like like the biblical ones, or the. I'm trying to see the evidence of any time.
Yeah, Akbari, could you clarify?
Yeah, it must be I'm thinking if you're referring to other biblical people. I'm trying to think. I feel like there have been. I feel like they have. I know that there's studies on it. Like they've claimed that they found someone's mummy from those times and tested it. But I don't recall having looked at those studies, to be honest with you. Recently, I can't recall those studies recently.
Yeah. So Emet says, so from your research, do you agree the matter spiritually, your research will increase our emunah, or our faith?
Okay, so I guess as a question is just for me,
is there a spiritual component to this here?
Well, yeah, because there's let me see how, and I knew this question would come up, so I should hopefully have a I could articulate it. But yeah, absolutely. And the scripture, because it's kind of late for me. So anyway, the scripture that keeps coming up is what the hope is, that faith is the things hoped for and the evidence of things unseen. Is that the correct interpretation? So I feel like the science just validates what I knew spiritually, because we have this common knowledge. We have this knowledge in our community already. It already exists. And like somebody mentioned, have you read Ronald Dalton? And have you, and there's so many, I have so many books of, of and YouTube videos, and we have this information. But I think the reason why I narrowed in on the this haplogroup E1b1a is because I believe that it would validate what I knew spiritually.
Yeah.
And that what we all knew spiritually was that we at some point did leave. EM2 is the marker of the people who left Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it did validate what I read in scripture.
Yeah. Yeah. Ramsey says, I'm processing and trying to determine how this connect to our ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov. This has been information as Dr. Dr. Knox mentioned. This information has been around for quite some time. It's circulating in our community. Dr. Knox just went deeper into it. However, DNA doesn't work like, well, because do that means Ibra was E1b1a and that means this person because they were connected to this. Well, we know that the E marker means that you come from East Africa. All right, we do know that. Some would say there are theories out there that says, of course, that Ham had a E1b1b marker, that Shem had E1b1a, and that of course the J haplogroup come from Japhetic. It is a Japhetic marker. So did Noah, Shem have markers? Sometimes DNA doesn't work that way because, as Dr. Knox talked about, mutation, other type of things. We clearly can know that they did. I think if going back to if the original, what we call the Edenic narrative, if that happened in East Africa, chances are they share that haplogroup for sure. Whether or not Noah and Shem was E1b1a, that's maybe another dissertation for Dr. Knox to do.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
What you said, and if it's the case, we know that biblical lineage is based on the paternal. Why is that accepted? I think they were responding to someone else, but it is based on the paternal. It's based on the Y haplogroup. Is from father to son. Is the begetting process. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac begot Jacob, and so we see even the Messiah. We see in Matthew chapter 1, Luke chapter 3. We see his whole lineal, patriarch clan. We see it spelled out both in Matthew 1 as well as Luke chapter 3. Rejoice said, I had a white friend tell me that their dad did a DNA and was majority Jewish. In the DNA test, what do they mean by Jewish? Since we know that the current Jewish people in Israel are Khazars, or they may say, of course, the Khazarians, as they call it. So yeah, I think that what they mean is a J haplogroup. Some believe that they have the Kohan gene, which this is why DNA can be manipulative, and I see why some people are skeptical, because you got these dark limba people who say that they are the Levitical tribe, And of course, the Ashantis claim that, as well as some of the Ewe people as well, Yoruba and West Nigeria, they claim to be the priestly clan as well. But I think what they mean is that they have the J haplogroup or the Kohan gene. This is where science and this is where DNA testing has been manipulated. Dexter from Atlanta. A black American man discovers he was the direct descendant of Egyptian Pharaoh Ramses the third.
Well, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that in the chat.
Yeah. Your research with the haplogroups confirmed Deuteronomy 28, 6 and 4. Yahuwah said that, of course, it was scattered to four corners of the earth. Yeah.
I think so too. I agree.
Yeah. Migration can be seen as Yahuwah direction. Let me find some questions if we have any. Yep. Bantus, of course, means the people, etc. etc. Yeah. And so this is interesting. I won't share because of the time, share some additional videos, but I would like to share just briefly, just kind of walk through this, whatever part of this here, kind of walk through this just very briefly and see if I can just recapitulate some things. Don't want to. So, of course, the chromosome E1b1 is being the ancestors of three, and there was a mark on the late human Noah. There you're Noah, of course. But it's an E1b1a or E1b1b. And so it makes sense that Noah will carry the E1b1 rather than E1b1. And if he is a progenitor, like we know he is of Ham, and most of Ham descendants are E1b1b, then that makes sense along the way. Of course, we talk about the archaeological and ontological, pardon me, evidence point, and that simply means that fossils from plants um, and and animals. But evidence points East Africa, of course, the evolution of humans. She talked about this tonight, and these, of course, in Eastern Congo, Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, along the Great Rift Valley that goes all the way down to Mozambique. All right. See what anything else? Of course, we talked about the tribes in the Niger Congo. So I wish I could pull up a map to show you the or the Bantu tribes in the Niger Congo family. They all are Bantu. So don't let people confuse you and say, well, Niger Congo people are not Bantus. They are Bantu. If you do just enough research, you will find that there are emphatically Bantu people. Niger Congo people are Bantu people, right? So, of course, E1b1b, of course, we talked about is a Hamitic that comes from Ham. And then some people would say, well, the E1b1c, or they call the J haplogroup now, will come from Japhet. But that's argumentative along the way. Let me just skip through some of this here. Of course, we talked about how DNA can be corrupted, of course, with the Limba, of course, which is a Bantu tribe, and how do they share bloodline with the so-called Caucasian Jewish community. And that's what they say. Why? That is a smokescreen. That's sensationalism. Because they know that they've been saying they have the Kohan gene forever. But when they tested the Limbas emphatically have the Kohan gene. Kohan means the gene or the gene of the same genetic makeup that Aaron had. How they share a J haplogroup, the Jewish, Caucasian, Ashkenazi Jews, and Limbas are Bantu. How they both have the Kohan gene. That's a smokescreen. That's a smokescreen. All right. So we talked about in the Congo, yeah. So some people are right. So someone put in there that you can find Paleo Hebrew in Congo. Yeah, in the Congo, you find Paleo Hebrew. Not only that, you'll find them in the valleys of Ohio, in the hills of Kentucky. You found Paleo Hebrew, which proved that our people were here already before um, Christopher Columbus or whatever you want to call them. All right. Yep. So our DNA, 50%. She mentioned that tonight. I just wanted to just touch on some things. From in Cameroon and Gabon, we see many of these, many of us of the DNA there, and of course below this Sahara. Again, we are sub-Saharan people. And then, of course, we migrated to Ghana, Nigeria, Togo, Benin, etc. All right. Of course, there was a lot of mixing. You'll find that even today, went to Kenya, and even among the Luo people, there was a lot of mixing. Some of you know the um, various Nilo tribes. They mix because they lived among, much like we mixed among the Canaanites. Much, if you look at the Twa people, these are pygmies. We mixed among them as well, and there's a lot of significant evidence to prove that we mix among them as well. The Matsi people in Kenya, very tall. You find nowadays they're mixing with Bantu tribes. And so, whether we talk about the Madingo, whether we talk about the Wolof people, the Mindi, the Akan, of course, Ga, Fanti, Bono. We find the Edo people, Yoruba, the Tusi people, the Hosa people, Zulu, Limba, Kikuyu, Kitsi, Kamba. Kamba people are in Kenya, along with the Meru people, kind of more of East Africa, East Kenya, so to speak. But you see that, right? And even among the what we call the Beta tribe in Ethiopia are all Bantu. They're all Semitic people. And of course, they carry the E1b1a marker, Cameroon, and Congo and Togo, as we mentioned before, Benin and Gambia, along Rwanda, along the coast. And so we are mixed along that. And so she talked about short Tana repeats, etc. I just wanted to just highlight, I got many of slides, but I'm going to stop there. Just wanted to highlight some things, Dr. Knox, and to add to what you were saying tonight. This has been very, very powerful. Man, thank you so much. I know that we have to maybe come on and um, do this again. I know if you want Dr. Knox to come on again, please put a one in the chat. And I know it's a delay, so we'll wait on you. Um, if you want Dr. Knox to come back to maybe field some questions, or as she continued to grow in her research, to share additional information. Meanwhile, Dr. Knox, could you put your, I'll attempt to put your information so that
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how to do that for some reason, because it says private chat, and I wasn't able to figure out how to be in the group chat.
Okay, let's see. Let me put it on the ticker so that everybody can. Oops.
And teach a course.
Oh yeah. Let's put it on a ticker so everyone can have that information. And that was Dr. Knox at PhD.
Yes, Dr. Knox.phd. No, yes, Dr. Knox.phd, not at PhD.
Okay. And then, of course, your email
Is Lawanda, Lawanda at drknox.phd.
and maybe we'll have you on again too with other PhD candidates Dr. Knox have really set the standard high at the PhD. She will be our very first PhD student to successfully defend her dissertation, and we look for commencement in spring 2026. We're really proud of uh, her efforts, and she has been a blueprint of intellectuality, and have really been a force to be reckoned with. And when it comes to rigorous research and her scholasticism, I'm really proud of her, and we hope to bring her on board as a faculty and staff member at the Hebrew Academy International. So all praises be to the Most High. So that's Dr. Knox, that dot PhD,
Mhm.
and then Lawanda at Dr. Knox dot PhD. So information, folks. Praises be to the Most High. Well,
Well, can I say one thing before we end? Because there was a question in the chat,
sure.
and I'm not going to pretend to know the answer. I'm just going to say. So the question was, if haplogroup J and E1b1b was more commonly found in Jewish people, are shown to be heavy in the Middle East, and E1b1a aren't. Why would Jewish people not be the real Jews? And so I just will leave it with this: if you well, number one, there is a blend. There's two things I want to say about that. There is a blend of E1b1b in all of the participants that was primarily in the E1b1a haplogroup. There was a blend, a smaller percentage of E1b1b in just about all of them. So I'll say that, and you can interpret that how you want to interpret that. The other thing is where the reason why you're asking, I think, the underlying question behind what you're saying is, well, wouldn't they be the Jews? Is only if you geographically are attached to where they say Israel, this, because that's a state, and of Israel. And also, there's a good book. So if you so the geographical part is the thing that we probably need to come back to. I think we should do a part two on the geography and probably have some more experts, not just other experts who are good about speaking about that. But that's the part, that's the trap. I think that the trap is, well, if they say they're the people and they occupy the state of Israel, then doesn't that mean that they are the people? I don't think that that's what it means. And so I think that we have to come back and discuss that at a later time. But there is a book called The Invention of the Jewish People, and it's written by them. And so it's a book called The Invention of the Jewish People by Shlomo Sand. And so I think that would be an interesting read. So I'll leave it with that. But I think that is what that question would lead into a deeper discussion that we don't have time for today.
Yeah. So there's a number of books out there, not only the Invention of the Jewish People, but the 13th Tribe, etc. There's many books out there that would support that. Now, so geographically, we do know that the Suez Canal was an attempt, not just for barter and trade and for commerce, but it was created to distant what they call Israel from Africa. Israel sits on the tectonic plate of Africa. It is Northeast Africa.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Yes. Thank you for saying that. It absolutely is.
It is Northeast Africa. And so don't let the smooth taste fool you.
Right.
Psalms Division 83 says that with a tumult, or they will certainly they will come together, and they will draw a conspiracy to cut us off from being a nation. They're going to do whatever they need to. That's what the Berlin Wall was. Berlin Conference. The Berlin Conference was about let me change lakes names, let me change mountain names. Instead of don't call it Mount Kenya, Mount Zion, call it Mount Kenya. Let's change lakes, let's change geographies. Why? Because they're trying to remove and erase a people group. It's ecclesiastical. I started to say something else, but it is a ecclesiastical ethnic cleansing. It's trying to wipe us out from being a people. And I'm glad I didn't say what I was going to originally say.
Right.
But and so we know that this is true among them. They wanted to change, and that's why they changed lakes and rivers and all of this and change it. Why? Because they're trying to cut us off from being a nation. So, but true pressed down to the ground will rise again. All things hidden is going to come to surface. That's what the Brit Hadashah says in Luke. So, all praises be to the Most High. But you're right. This book, the invention of the Jewish people, it states there they are truly Khazarians. They under King Bulan. They are the same DNA as Germans. They have, if that's the case, Germans are the people of the book. Then
Oh, right. So which is why the language is a blend because they
Yiddish.
German, yeah, Yiddish. That's right.
That's right.
But they're from way up. They don't have nothing to do with. They don't have the receipts.
Yeah. Oh. And then Ashkenaz, look at Genesis chapter 10. Ashkenaz is a descendant of Japhet. And go figure, they call themselves Ashkenazi. And they said there was no relation between the two. That's right. Israel was never called a state.
People.
That's the event. It's a people. And so chances are when you turn to geography, Dr. Knox is, I want to call you Dr. No from now.
You can.
Thank you to Scuba for that.
Yeah.
But we know that Israel expands is much bigger than that small territory. We know that Abraham was given a promise that his children will proliferate and that they will be greater than the sands of the sea and the stars in the sky. Well, Bantu people dominate Africa. It is the most populated group in Africa. Bantu people. Bantu people. If anyone is the children or the seed of Abraham, it is most definitely Bantu people. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah. And let me see this last thing here. This workout, this is perfect. If I can bring it up. So this is a close, not really that polished, but it kind of drives home a point that I want to make. All right, concerning Bantu people, and I want to show you. Don't let people tell you. I've been hearing this rhetoric that Niger Congo people, we are not Bantu. That's not scholarly information. So look at this here. So we see. That's right, Ema. What's done in the dark will come to the light. That's right, Ema. So look at this here. Of course, we see the Afro-Asiatic people. All right, Afro-Asiatic in this area includes the Berber people, Hausa people, and so on and so forth. The Berber, we talked about the Berber people earlier. They carry this E1b1b. And then we have the Nilo in Saharan people. And of course, these are people who live along the Nile. They depend on the Nile. That's why they call the Nilo or Nilotic. Nilotic. The Masi people, you all know the Masi people in Kenya. Very tall, they run, they leap very high. They typically they live among animals. They are Nilo people, Nilotic. Nilotic people. And if I notice, we have the Niger Congo. So Niger Congo will be most of West Africa. All right, you'll find Igbo, Yoruba, etc. You will find them along the Congo people. Now we know we have Fulani here, but Fulani took after the Egyptians. Do their DNA on Fulani. Someone look that up. You will find most Fulanis don't have E1b1a, but they do live among Bantu people, right? And Niger Congo again was the dialect, but notice Niger Congo Bantu. They're the same people. Niger Congo, Niger Congo, Bantu. So this would be in Kenya, in Uganda, in Tanzania, in Botswana, in Zimbabwe, and of course they speak Swahili more as a common language, which is really a mixture of languages. And so Kikongo, those who speak Kikongo, Chua, Zulu. There's not Zulu on here, but Lesotho, and a host of people. These will all be, of course, Bantu people. Bantu people. So I just wanted to show a connection between the Niger Congo, people in West Africa, and what we all migrated from East Africa, from Kenya, etc. And so this is why in Kenya you'll find, notice along the Great Rift Valley, there's a lot of Nilo people, like the Masi people. They live among the Great Rift Valley. They live among the animals. They tame lions and all these people. They tall, they can run fast, etc. Well, they're not Bantu people. Bantu people are migrated into the areas you see in orange and in red, which makes sense that my people are just beyond the Ethiopian River. They're just beyond, or the Nile River. They're that to be central, and the Congo, Central African Republic, down, of course, in Angola, and Gabon, and Central African Republic, and Cameroon, and Nigeria, and Ghana, and Cote d'Ivoire, and Liberia, and Senegal, and um, um, Gambia, etc. Burkina Faso will be in these areas here. So this thing is going to rapidly increase. We're going to go through a state of proliferation. We're going to increase in knowledge, and the Most High is really going to bring us together, because that's what he said in Yirmiyahu. He's going to restore the heritage that he once gave us. We're going to know tribe, etc. Emo says something very important tonight, and that's, of course, and is it First Kings 18, where Eliyahu said, "One day you will not be called the tribe of Benjamin, and the tribe of Dan, and the tribe of Naphtali. One day you're going to be called Israel. You're going to be one Israel." And so at the end of the day, we may know specific tribe and specific origin, but the ultimate goal of the Most High is to make us one. All praises be to the Most High. Well, Dr. Knox, I mean, if we continue at this rate, we'll be on until midnight my time. And we want to thank you again. We know that you are clicking on all cylinders. You're humming at the optimal capacity in your PhD studies. And can you all help me thank Dr. Knox for her research question, and for her laborious efforts, her labor intense studies in bringing out this information. It is truly, truly a baraka to our community. We thank the Most High for you, and and that your research will continue to make the impact, the seismic impact that it's making. Influence is what we give, but impact is what we leave. And so, please, everyone, help me thank Dr. Knox
Mhm.
for your incredible research.
My pleasure. Definitely my pleasure.
Yeah. So, Dr. Knox, please have the final words tonight. And what would you say to our people? What message would you like to leave with our viewers regarding the role of the ongoing restoration of us as a people?
Let's see. The last word I would say is that there's no doubt that there's no doubt that we are the people, and so the restoration is a more of retracing our steps to regain our memory, to remember. It's more of a memory exercise because it's already in our DNA. We just need to remember, and so this is an exercise of remembering. And so I think I'm hoping that this will help us be able to know where to look to find, the information that we need to close the gaps.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I hope.
Mm-hmm.
So that we can remember, we can restore our people to our original greatness.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's my goal.
Well
That's my
said.
hope.
Well said. Life is lived forward, but is best understood backwards. And so, thank you for helping us to go backwards so that we can understand where we're going. I'm often in of course, there's a Dinka symbol, particularly among the Ashanti tribe of the Sankofa. And the Sankofa, of course, the feet is anatomically positioned forward,
Forward.
and the head is backwards.
Back.
And the point, matter of fact, I'm wearing the Sankofa now. You very people can't see it,
Nice.
but I'm wearing the Sankofa in
Yep.
the is anatomical position where the feet is forward and the head is backwards. And the point of this Adinka symbol is to go back and get it. If you
Yep.
don't learn from your past, you will stumble in your future. And Dr. Knox, you are doing an amazing job in helping us to recall, helping us to recollect, helping us to that internal memory in us to remember where we come from. I believe in the Willie Lynch letter, they said we cannot allow Negroes, don't even give them a glimpse of their history because internally they will recall all of their history.
That's right.
And so we do know that um, uh, whenever the Lions must have their own historians,
Mm-hmm.
we must have our own historians because when the lion doesn't have its own historians, then the history of the hunt will always favor the hunter.
That's right.
The hunter is always favored in the narrative of the lion until the lions get its own historians. So we have to know what our formative narrative is. When we don't know who our formative narrative is, what happens is that we believe narratives where other people become the hero and we become the victim. So our formative narrative must be told, and you are helping us through this incredible research of DNA, in connecting the migration routes. And I can't wait. I know there's some questions about, well, if my family came on this ship and we came to Louisiana, well, did we migrate? Did most of those people migrate to Seattle? Where are they? Are they in Portland? Are they on the West Coast, etc.? And we look forward to that groundbreaking research that you and others would do. All the students of the Hebrew Academy International, but even beyond the Hebrew Academy International, we know that there's going to be some great research being done in the days to come, and we all going to benefit from it greatly.
Yes. I look forward to it. Toda.
No, thank you, and we have many people that are saying thank you again. Toda Rabbah, appreciate you. Thanks so much. Teshuba asks, how can we support you?
That's a good question.
You got a cash app?
No.
Okay.
Just go to the website and hopefully I'll have more information. Oh, you can also follow me on Instagram. I changed my Instagram handle to @almost Dr. Knox. My Instagram is @almost Dr. Knox. So follow me there And yeah, then, then I'll have some people then I'll feel motivated to share more information. There's nobody following me.
This is amazing. This is amazing. And to your fellow colleagues at the Hebrew Academy, you certainly set the precedence for them. You set the standard for them. So all praises be to the Most High for just your contributions tonight. So all praises be to the Most High. Again, you can contact Dr. Knox by going to our website at drknox.phd, www.drknox.phd, or you can email her at lawanda@drknox.phd. And again, give them your Instagram account again.
It's at almost, and then Dr. Knox, DRKNOX, Dr. Knox. At almost Dr. Knox.
At almost Dr. Knox. And that indeed. Please support her, everyone, in her groundbreaking research. And soon after she get through graduation and defending her dissertation, we look forward to a book and other type of aids that can help us. And thank you for creating your website. I know it's going to grow from there and help connect people to their patrial clan and their patrilineal and matrial clan root.
Yes.
And so Toda Rabbi for all that you do. And all praises be to the Most High for all of you who have been on for almost 3.5 hours.
Right.
Watching us tonight. And so with that being said, Ahabata, remember, you don't fight for victory, you fight in victory. Shalom, shalom, and shalom, mishpachah. Hallelujah.
P-A-C-H-A. We Yahuwah, children is Ruach, lead our way. It's the M-I-S-H-P-A-C-H-A. We Yahuwah, children is Ruach, lead our way. You a lamp to my feet at camp with my peeps. Clamp on the MIC when I speak. Shalom, I'm at home with my mishpachah. Ain't alone in its own, this a diss to gods. Of the other nations and organizations, we the chosen of Yah. You know who you facing? We tasting salvation. That's good. Spread this information through the hood. It's the M-I-S-H-P-A-C-H. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach, lead our way.
Yeah.
Talk to me,
Me and the ox locked in like a hare. I've been staying dedicated with my family all here. I'm walking in with this armor, no fear. Keep the squad on my back, and my soldiers all here. We gon' march up in that kingdom, we gon' take some. I see a lot of fake Jews doing fake stuff. A real Jew, I can say that with my face up.
But how you gonna sell your soul for a pay stub?
They know they can't face some Yahuwah out of patience. Get glory to the king from my family out the matrix. Gotta send a prayer up into the east I'm facing. Death to the gods of these other pagan nations.
Said the feeling is here. Can you feel it out here in the air? He's bold as a lion appears. He's making the vision so clear. We are Yahudim. Do you know what that means? E1b1a. Got it marked on my jeans. E1b1a.
It's the M-I-S-H-P-A-C-H-A. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach, lead our way. Talk to me.
Dressed in the Ruach, what about you? Favored and blessed by Yahuwah. You not, don't get upset, don't let go of envy. Got you in a frenzy, your style so flimsy. Bar from the Shamaim, can't brush it. Far from my Elohim, can't touch this, no competition. Been sent to accomplish a mission. Straight
Selling
fishing.
your soul is a no-go. Popping pills, drinking Hennis for our show. People lost in the club, but they broke though. Put your hands in the air, pray for their souls. You heard? I but a true light. When he walked in my life, I felt so bright. I might be hard at first, but it's alright. Y'all won't open your eyes when you get white.
It's the M-I-S-H-P-A-C-H-A. We Yahuwah's children, the Ruach, lead our way. It's the MISHPACH. We are Yahuwah's children, the Ruach lead our way. Talk to me.
Purify me, Yah, in the flames. Purify me, see you let it rain. Purify me, Yah, in your name. Purify me, purify me.
Purify my heart, my home, my dome, my soul, bring peace. Purify this dirty water in my cup I drink. I only want the living water from the king. Only want the diamond pressing out of me. Only want the white garment that's clean. Only want the true facts, that's me. 24 carats I rock in my heart, but it sinks to the bottom, you know that it's pure. Coming in sharp like a dark and the aim is on point, so you know that I'm pure. Filter all the evil out of my life, so when I pour it's pure. You know that it's more. I didn't close them doors, so move your finger, boy.
Purify me, Yah, in the flames. Purify me, see you let it rain. Purify me, Yah, in your name. Purify me, purify me.
Trauma after trauma, trouble after trouble. Expected this way of life to be an eternal tussle. Thriller in Manila, told the Most High that I can endure. Increasing power with each blow. I'm telling them, give me more. It's gonna take more than just one. On that front line when it come. Boy, this spiritual warfare decide to come here, bring more than a gun. I've been purified, so down the ride as long as breath in my lungs. That consuming fire burnt my desires, never going back where I'm from. Go.
Purify me, Yah, in the flames. Purify me, see you let it rain. Purify me, Yah, in your name. Purify me.
Yeah, man, I step out the fire, my foot on the devil, I'm talking to y'all like a FaceTime. Purify my spirit, y'all say my soul, I've been trying to stay pure on this baseline. Old folks with the old me, they don't know me, just look at my waistline. Fridges drop on the bottom, Hakuna Matata, ain't worried about none of them headlines. They news in the media, I'm never media unless we talk about tour. I'm just trying to go spread the bazaar, saying talking, I try to ignore. I'm looking for lost meanings in the scripture, I'm on an adventure like Dora. Y'all can ride a designer, I ride a designer, his image got me an immortal.
Cause I'm keeping the faith. If you're not with it, then move out my way. This purification is keeping me sane. I don't get offended cause I'm not the same. If you stuck in the past or you stuck in the maze, keeping it real, a minute behind is a minute too late. If the first shall be last and the last shall be first, but I endure to the end of who win in the race. Sin and perversion, I'm a face, shuffle your boots and tie your lace. Go through the fire, then conversate. Give me your time, dog, finna wait. You back in the hind, dog, on the late. You read it all wrong, dog, connotate. You falling behind, dog, keep the pace. You heard it all wrong, dog, spin the tape.
Purify me, Yah, in the flames. Purify me, see you let it rain. Purify me, Yah, in your name. Purify me, purify me. Purify me, Yah, in the flames. Purify me, see you let it rain. Purify me, Yah, in your name. Purify me, purify me.
Send you the first, send you the first, we going out, out. Send you the first, send you the first, we going out, out.
Preset if you scared, then go home. And no, we ain't saying it twice. Cause once you get into this war zone, it's either your life or their life. And we ain't about losing before an intrusion, we gotta make sure we right. So we send praise and seek his face. Then we load up it is on site. What you thought it was, it's not. Don't wanna see us on your block. Yelling hallelujah, trying to tell y'all that victory is your shot. We serve Yah's by oath, and in this army of hosts, yeah, Yahoo the lead. True indeed, in his name we boast. Go.
Send you the first, send you the first, we going out, out. Send you the first, send you the first, we going out. Torch fire, flags in the street. Sing louder, kick up the beat. All them enemy forget delete when we cry in the street, drew the drop them me. Who got the praise for days? Who are the what can't face? Made for praise, spit prophecy, we be that anointed royalty. I said we came. Hey. The bar Hamayim number 2, that's on replay. Yeah, we gon' bust them walls, mash up, then be on our way. Yeah, to the nations we proclaim his cool dash name. Yahuwah, Yahuwah, Yah, Yah. Send you the first, send you the first. We going out, out. Send you the first.
You said.
Send you the first. We going out, out.
From Symbion to Benjamin, we need every man out here standing. Got sisters home and they praying while they brothers in the field slaying.
Slaying demons in sorrow. Hamashiach, we do follow. Sword the truth, we loud no mute. We lenders out here, we know no borrow.
Jacob's seed is undefeated when y'all's greeted with praise and leads us through a war without a grievance till the win is completed. Then we return with our pieces.
Peace banger, peace be still with the Rangers. Mighty morphin', we hang them up the drop, they can hang on, hang on.
Let's go.
Send you the first, send you the first. We going, send you the first, send you the first. We going, send you the first, send you the first. We going out, out.
You ready? Laying down in the garden, got up a yard in my head. Feeling warm inside, Elohim gave me herbs for days. Yeah.
Wake me up with the sunshine, got me out of my bed. View the sun of the rainbow, show me I've been here. Out here breezing like the trees on the track. If you catch us at the beach, you know we about to run it back. Now we got to keep them souls on track. No Kit Kat, baby, ain't no break when I become it. Ain't no get back, big facts. Walls falling when we call him Malakim. I bet in me shining bright, listening. This is testing ground, we be in rehearsal. Replay 7 days every year like circles. Dressing royal purple, walking through like Urkel. Yeah, we did that. Practice for the king when race like turtle. Slow and steady, we be ready for that good fight. Finish rates, such a good time to be alive. Ay, ay, ay. Smile with the breeze, shine fine, we light up on the hill. Time, yeah, I forgive me, feel. To the rubber, I be new Yahuwah to the deal.
Laying down in the garden, got up a yard in my head. Feeling warm inside, Elohim gave me herbs for days. Yeah.
Wake me up with the sunshine, got me out of my bed. View the sun of the rainbow, show me I've been here.
I just need you right here. See, gon' make it real clear. Popping golden chains don't make it special when I bought it. Waking up in shackles and you wonder how it happened. Cause you feel like reading the Bible, it's so old fashioned. Feeling like you shrinking, but you lonely in a mansion. Thinking got you sent and wonder why aren't you Casper? Money, hoes, and blow blowing O's, now that's a trap. Promise when you pray your happiness will flourish faster. I don't mean to sound like I ain't preaching to you, but when you got y'all in your life, you gon' feel brand new. I hope you walk the path so I bet I can find you. Pay attention to the side, baby, don't miss your clue. Laying down in the garden, got up a yard in my head. Feeling warm inside, Elohim gave me herbs for days. Yeah.
Wake me up with the sunshine, got me out of my bed. View the sun of the rainbow, show me I've been here.
Yo. Give me hug, I be full of love, I so set apart, yeah, in this apartheid. They tryna take my mind, heavily guarded this time. I had a visor to your vision and your sunshine. I be a part of the chosen, the law, a part of my blood. Abba, what's your type? Love, broken hearts in the sins we admitted of. Carry the gospel to the corners, divvy it up. Up in the garden, all alone, hear the serpent come. I see the venom in my people, where them serpents from. Where the antidote, lead them to Hamashiach. Flood them with the gospel, so they gotta take a yacht. Drawing blood with the Bible, it be the blood that lead the life. South part with the antics, Abba, what's gon' get them right? We confused with semantics, Abba, what's gon' lead them right? All up in your garden, bringing buried bones to light.
Laying down in the garden, got up a yard in my head. Feeling warm inside, Elohim gave me herbs for
earth shake, groaning for the sons of Yah to be revealed. No time, no choice, suffering the violence, gotta take it by force. And you can hear the rock clear, saying you was called out to battle. It's more than you can ever fathom. So get up, get up, get up, put your armor on. You were called out, get up, called out to battle. So get up, put your armor on. You were called out to battle, to battle. 'Cause I'm a water thrower. I can push the thoughts of the enemy. Yeah, you're looking at a water thrower. I can push the thoughts of the enemy. Yeah, I can quench the thoughts of the enemy. I can quench the thoughts of the enemy. Yeah, you're looking at a water thrower. Water thrower, water thrower. Looking at a water thrower. Looking at a water thrower. I can quench the thoughts of the enemy. Yeah, I can quench the thoughts of the enemy. I can quench the thoughts of the enemy. Yeah, you're looking at a water thrower. Water thrower, water thrower. I can quench the thoughts of the enemy.
Yeah, I can't state this enough. Ain't nothing like Mishpachah. Y'all take the solitary and places them in the family. Only Mishpachah can understand that statement right there. Hallelujah. Shalom to my ox and the Codys who show me love. True Ahava from my Abba above. Cause love ain't what it says, it's really what it does. I know this because of Mashiach shed his blood. And they should know this by the love we have for one another. Who's my sister, who my brother, who my mother. But he who does the will of the Most High, Yasharal. Y'all so fly, y'all take the solitary, put some in the family, a home for the lonely. Only y'all understand me, ain't nothing like Mishpachah, handpicked, blessed of y'all. That's why I click and I mess with y'all, cause y'all are genuine. And all you say and do ain't trying to see through me, but trying to see me through. To all my Hebrews who daily hold me down, wanna have a 12 tribe, one sound. Ain't nothing like Mishpachah, because they always hold me down in accountability. Ain't nothing like Mishpachah. They got genuine love, the kind of love that comes from above. I love to see y'all coming, I hate to see you leave. For real, I agree that fellowship is what we need. True community, love and unity. And through the word of Yah, y'all influence me to lock this out, not just talk about. Y'all keep me grounded and accountable without a doubt. Iron sharpening iron, Zion uplifting Zion. I anticipate Shabbat when we corporately gather. The scripts in the fellowship is all that really matters. Every book, verse and chapter, accurately captured. And as we commune, application is mastered. So as we build and grow, I'm thrilled to know not only are we feel, but we're skilled to go and show the love of Yah as we move with compassion. True Ahava demonstrated in our action. Ain't nothing like Mishpachah, because they always hold me down in accountability. Ain't nothing like Mishpachah. They got genuine love, the kind of love that comes from above. Eagerly anticipating our holy convocations and everlasting ordinance throughout our generations. Feast days and Moedim is what he called them. Then commands Yasharal to guard them. That means keep peak to doing practice, rehearsing like an actor or actress, just to make sure that we got this. So when we do them in the kingdom, we ain't lacking. We come from kitchen, feeding and feasting. Ain't nothing like mishpachah, handpicked and blessed of y'all. That's why I click and I mess with y'all, the people of the book. We know how to party. The only difference now is we keep it godly. That's how the squad be, keeping those commandments. Mishpachah, the way Yahuwah planned it. Ain't nothing like mishpachah, because they always hold me down in accountability. Ain't nothing like mishpachah. They got genuine love, the kind of love that comes from above. Ain't nothing like mishpachah. Yeah, I can't state this enough.
Caribbean Kitchen, Foods offer 7 unique blends of premium, low-sodium Jamaican seasoning that will add a burst of flavor to your dishes. Our authentic, all-natural Jamaican seasonings are a game changer when it comes to adding a burst of flavor to your dishes. Our products are kosher, all-natural, contains ingredients that are gluten-free and GMO-free. Our seasonings are handcrafted with the highest quality ingredients. We source our ingredients from the Caribbean to capture the authentic taste of the islands. Unleash your creativity in the kitchen and savor the taste of the Caribbean with our spice blends. Enjoy our variety of seasonings that are flavor-packed to deliver the best taste for your dishes. Get ready to create delicious meals that will excite your taste buds and leave your guests asking for more. Try our exclusive curry and jerk seasonings for an extraordinary cooking experience. Our blends are an excellent choice for chicken, meat, fish, and vegan dishes. Add a burst of flavor to your cooking with our top quality Jamaican seasonings. Grab one of our bundles and enjoy the taste of the islands.